Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 191. Robert's going to talk about two UFO cases to do with TR3Bs, and I'll just cue the music. I'll be with you in a minute. We're a wee bit early. What's it playing music here? It's like something's changed. Houston might have a problem. Can you hear echo there, Robert?
No, it's okay.
The music's playing on my laptop speakers. That doesn't really happen. Probably create a wee bit of echo, I think. Windows was playing up the other day. What's new? Windows 10, huh? Okay, so good to be back. Just sort that out. I don't know if it's going to be a problem, but we'll see. Okay, that should be the intro done with. Just make sure. Yeah, for some reason it was playing through my laptop speakers because I was having trouble with the second display. Was killing my system sounds, so I decided to disable it, but now it's putting it through the main speakers. I might have to redirect it somewhere else. Okay, but there's always little glitches, new changes, right? So who we got joining us? We better type up something on the side. Says we're now live. I just got an email. I'm not sure if anybody else get it. Better type up the welcome here. No doubt we'll get a few trolls. There was 3 on there. As soon as I go live, there's only 1 on there. 191. Let's see. I'll just call them TR3Bs. UFO cases. It's looking good. We are a wee bit early, and let's see, must be on time now. It's the first time we've started earlier. So how are we sounding out there? Is anyone out there listening? What are you doing, Robert? I can hear paperwork.
It's okay.
You reading the newspaper?
No, just going through my notes.
Alright. Okay. Let's get rid of the echo. Well, let's do a quick check on the volume then, I guess. Since we got no one checking it for us at the moment. There it is. I'll just up it to, if it will let me, 200 I think it should be. And that'll do. Oh, why is it not loading? Since we got no one checking it for us at the moment. The light's working. Say something, Robert. I'll just hear you on here. There it is.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just up it to...
Sound okay, Paul?
Haven't heard it yet. If it will let me.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10, 8,
no,
6, 4,
there's enough,
2.
there's enough, there's enough. That'll do. Oh, why is it not loading? Since we got no one checking it for us at the moment. The light's working. Say something, Robert. I'll just hear you on here. There it is.
Hello, Paul.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, Paul.
Just up it
Hello.
to... No, I'm trying to listen to your playback.
Okay, Paul?
Haven't heard it yet. If it will let me.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10.
Sounds alright.
That's fine.
Yeah, we got 4 watching, no one talking. So let's see, we're doing Hudson River first, is it?
Hudson Valley.
Valley, I mean.
Yeah.
We got some images that I was looking at.
Hudson Valley, New York.
Yep. What have we got there? So we've got various triangle craft pictures to do with this case. So, not sure if there's any real photographs of the lights at all, do you know?
No, I wouldn't bother with that, Paul, just wasting time.
Yeah, so on the map we're talking about in America here, and it's over this side here. What's that one? East
yeah,
Coast.
That's the Catskill area, yeah.
Yeah, the East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah, I was just trying to think which one was west, which one was east. So we're zoomed down onto here to the valley, which is either side of the Hudson River here. Yeah. I'm not sure how many people know of the area that's going to be joining us tonight. Let's see, New York will probably be like 7 AM in the morning at the moment, so they might be, someone from there might know. There's quite a lot of people living in a cluster here, and it seems like a lot of farmland here, is it? And trees, of course.
I don't know, but it's a highly populated area, that's for sure.
It looks pretty sparse here. There's a few farmhouses there. Probably gets flooded out there. And then we got this load of houses on the other side here. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. So we've got a link that we need to put up.
Yeah.
Because it's always good to point out where the location is, because everyone in the world not sure where all these places are, and America is very big. So where's Renee? I bet he's asleep. So it looks like we might have to scale that font up a bit. I'm not sure how you're seeing it.
Not too bad.
I think it's definitely better since you plug the cable in. On your end. I think it makes a difference. Well, we'll see how we go tonight. No video glitches. There we go. Definitely can read that. Although I don't like the font too much. So you want me to start reading it out to get to...
Okay, I can do that. The Hudson Valley UFO count is composed of not one, but many sightings, all similar, all pointing to one conclusion. There was something unexplained going on in this place, only an hour's drive north of New York City. The Hudson Valley UFO saga began at almost the beginning of the new year, 1982. Just a short time before midnight, December the 31st, 1981, a retired policeman was sitting in his backyard in Kent, New York. He saw a group of strange lights to the south. The lights were brilliant red, green, and white, and at first he thought they could be coming from an airplane in trouble. It was common for him to sit and watch the big jets fly over at night. As the lights became closer, his opinion quickly changed. The lights were moving too slowly to be a plane, and now they were too low, and there was no noise from an engine. There was the strange craft he was seeing. What was the strange craft he was seeing? Okay. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Paul, because I can't see enough to read it. Oh, yeah, it's not too bad.
Are you looking at the right screen?
As the light... Yeah, that's okay, yeah. As the lights came closer, he could hear a humming sound, and now he could see that the lights were arranged in a triangular shape, and there was a solid object of some kind connecting the lights. No, this was not an aircraft he had ever seen before. The solid part looked like a fuselage. That's what it was, a fuselage. He was looking at a UFO. This type of report would be repeated many times in the Hudson Valley over the next few years. All of them were familiar, a V-shaped row of lights connected by a solid object of some type. Literally hundreds of witnesses would see the same sight. There was definitely something unusual going on in the skies over the Hudson Valley, something that moved ever so slowly, so silently. On March 26, 1983, an article about the sighting appeared on the front page of the Westchester Rockland Daily Item. The article recounted the many reports of a strange phenomena. The cat was out with the bag.
Okay. I just we got Dell joining us. I just asked him what the audio.
Excellent.
Just asking if the audio sounds okay, not echoing or anything strange, because we had a few issues to start. Some changes on Windows. It's not too bad. No echo. Okay.
Good.
We don't want it crackling. That's the main thing, or echoing. Else we need to look into it. But yeah, that's good. Thanks for letting us know. So you got to the cat was out of the bag?
Yeah, the press coverage drew the attention of a group of UFO investigators, which was associated with Dr. J. Allen Hynek, as we know, acclaimed scientist and UFO investigator. A further investigation followed, and ultimately a book, Night Siege, The Hudson Valley UFO Sightings, written by Dr. Hynek and Philip J. Imbrogno. The group began their inquiries by setting up a phone hotline. They received over 300 calls from individuals who had seen the strange V-shaped lights on the night of March 24, 1983 alone. Descriptions are very similar, if not identical. The object always moved slowly and almost silently. It always had many lights, and they were always in a V configuration. Some of the witnesses got a close enough look to say that the craft was large enough to be in Flying City. On the same night, the city of Yorktown also came alive with reports of the giant flying craft. The police switchboard was jammed with so many calls about the UFO that they feared not being able to respond to the real emergencies.
Okay. We got Allison Ellie joining us.
Hello, Ali.
Yeah, I'll just have a
Or
look.
is it Alice?
Or was it Shelley? Not too sure. 7 a.m. Yes, we know that. It's not suitable really for Americans this time slot, but it's good for UK people like Robert. Also, it's midnight here, so I've been up watching Odd Light and hoping to see asteroid shower. Perhaps just got home. Glad only a bit late. Yeah, we'll begin about 10 minutes. So where do we get up to? You sure you want this to read out some of it?
Yeah, do read on it, yes, while I'm having the smoke.
We got down to drivers, was it?
That's it.
I haven't configured it yet. Yeah. I'll just try that. We get Mick West to read it out.
Oh, God, yeah.
Why can't I hear him? Don't tell me that's screwed up.
I think highlighted the word maybe properly.
No, I'm pretty sure. Should read out something.
Okay.
Driver.
Ah, right, it's working now. We had to wake him up. Sorry, Mick.
Drivers pulled over on the Taconic Parkway to watch the large object slowly make its way across the skies. All in all, about 5,000 reports were made during a period of 5 years, from 1982 through 1986. The object was seen by multiple witnesses at night, but never was a report made of it appearing during daylight hours. The sightings ranged as far east as New Haven, Connecticut, and as far north as Brookfield, Connecticut.
Oh, reads it out fast enough, doesn't it?
Too fast.
You reckon?
Yeah, but it's okay.
I find it just right myself.
Several theories were put forth about whether there was only one object, or many. Some additional accounts would come forward stating that the object, though moving slowly, would at times make a rapid, fast maneuver from one location to another. Also, the lights of the craft could change colors in an instant. A report made from guards at the Indian Point nuclear plant would be one of the most dramatic. The gigantic UFO was seen hovering over the plant for periods of time, and moved as close as 30 feet from the reactor. Security supervisors even once considered ordering in planes to have it show down. The object over Indian Point was described by some of the guards as 1,000 feet long.
Yeah, as a point needs to be made here. That power plant, the Indian Point nuclear plant, the power was shut down. They had a power shortage for several minutes while the UFO was overhead, or the triangle was overhead.
Okay, let's see if we can find it on the map here.
So You've got that UFO nuclear connection again.
Yeah, Indian plants. Why does it not let me select it? Why is it called Indian? Is it like a
It's
native?
probably maybe an Indian reservation at one time, Paul. It's United States,
Indian plantation? No. Is it actually called that now?
No.
Nuclear Indian. Have I spelled it wrong? Indian Point.
Indian Point. So you need to copy and paste that rather than mess about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like it's further away, is it? What's going on? Alright, that had to zoom out a fair bit there, so that's the whole range of Hudson City and the power plant, so it must have gone around this place, huh? Does it look like a power plant there? Or is it all ghosted? Because sometimes they block it out so you can't use it. But it's not coming up with anything, is it?
That's okay. You know the location.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not giving us any picture.
It's not going to let us
right.
go inside the reactor.
No, but sometimes they block it out for security reasons.
Yeah.
So there you go. So they got cooling vents, have they? What's these things? I thought they normally have like cooling towers. So this is again UFOs over nuclear facilities, right? Well, it's not nuclear weapons this time, but obviously it's got some nuclear radiation coming from this place at some level, I guess, that they can detect. So the object was described as 1,000 feet long. So that's quite big. How many cars wide would that be? Well, cars what, about 6 feet, is it? 8 feet? So it'd be like
Cars
10,
around about 8 feet, yeah.
10 car widths. That's quite big. That's don't sound like it could be a plane if it's hovering, and it could be a helicopter being that big.
So it's 1,000 foot long. That was the size of it. That's oh dear.
Could be a blimp.
A couple of foot.
Could be a blimp, or it could be like an advertising balloon, maybe. But yeah.
Okay.
But we have to keep going onto it because it was triangle shaped, was it? It didn't say.
Yes, triangular shape. Yeah. We'll go into a more detailed count shortly.
It's meant to be reading out.
Another witness described the object hovering over the Croton Falls Reservoir, using a red beam as it seemed to scan the surface of the water. Reasonable explanations for the sightings were offered. Skeptics suggested that planes, balloons, satellites, the planet Venus, etc., could explain away the accounts. Considering all of the information available, researchers could find only one object that could mimic the movements of the UFO, a blimp. All blimp manufacturers and pilots were contacted, and not one case of a blimp over the area on the nights of the sightings could be found. The Hudson Valley sightings are still a mystery to this day.
Okay. What's that there? Video. That's it all gone now, Robert?
No, I don't really think we can play them anymore, you know, Paul.
Yeah, we don't know if it's from TV or anything, do we? It looks like
it'd be ideal if you could, but you know, can we trust it
copyright
now? Copyright
strangles us. Yeah, even Joe Rogan was saying on his live that when he was doing that David Fravor interview, he was very scared of playing anything off YouTube for copyright claim.
I'm not surprised with he's got over 11 million subs.
Well, he's probably got 11 million views on it, at least, I'd say, which would be quite a lot.
I think he had that many subs, you know. So, wow.
Let's see, let's work it out. That would be, without ad blocker, that would be like $11,000. He probably, if you take ad blocker into account, he probably would have got, if it's 11 million views, he would have got about $6,000 for that interview. And if you can't have ads on because some copyright claims on it, they take the $6,000 instead. You can see why they want to do it. And of course, if you get a copyright claim, you also get a strike, so you can't do your live streams anymore. Double whammy. Pretty bad, really. I think they need to make it formalized copyright. That's really annoying. They need to say you can use 10 minutes of any episode, 1 minute of music and all this. It needs to be, everybody worldwide needs to agree on something. It's just crazy that the media corps do this, you know. Plus it's good publicity to them. It's free, you know, if you had 11 million people playing a clip of a series, people are going to then go and get the series or the full episode to watch it, you know. So they want it all ways. They want free promo, and they want to make money from it.
Okay, So if you want to use the next link, Paul.
Yeah. We're getting up there we're on our way to 1,700 subs, as you can see, too, which is good. But it's taken like 3 months to get 90 subs, so we need to do a bit better for that. I thought we was going to get 2,000 subs by Christmas.
Well,
but
never mind about that. Let's concentrate on the UFO stuff, and we might get some more subs.
Yeah. Just telling people out there. This is YouTube, I reckon. No, surely not. No, it's changing. Changes to YouTube and then puts something else in it. It's kind of crazy how that does it. Yeah, so the writing's pretty good on this one. Where do you want to go?
Good fonts. All the way from the top, Paul.
You want it to read out?
Yeah.
We can't get capital S though. It's got a graphic for it.
That's okay.
Starting in the early 1980 seconds, the residents of the Hudson Valley area of New York would begin seeing strange aerial sights. The bulk, or first wave, of these strange sightings occurred between 1981 and 1994. All were startlingly similar in nature. Multiple lights would be seen in the sky, usually moving into formation. Sometimes the lights would move through the sky as if they were all part of one craft. What would also make these particular sightings all the more unique is the multiple witnesses to these events.
Okay, so what's this? This is a picture of what was there. Was it say recreation?
I don't trust that. But I can say one thing. All the Hudson Valley sightings weren't just triangles. Some of them were of huge disc-shaped objects with those type of lights all around the exterior of the craft.
But this link seems to be multicoloured here.
Yeah.
Because we've got no reference to how big it is.
No.
Could be like a small object.
Go from the witness testimony.
That kind of looks like it could be even a kite with a ring shape with LEDs on it. So yeah, what does it say of 80s there? No, it hasn't got a date, has it? So yeah, I don't know about that one.
This is the thing. There's no specific dates on Hudson Valley because it's still going on to this day.
Well, they got a nuclear thing there, that's why. Oh, oops, it slipped in too much again.
Although the sightings died down somewhat in the mid-90s, there are still reports of such activity in the region today. Perhaps even more interestingly, a short distance away in the Bronx, a surge in UFO sightings appears to be underway. Before we look at some of these sightings, check out the short video clip below. It is footage from 1984 by Bob Posley and has verification as being authentic. It is typical of the kind of sightings over the Hudson Valley area of New York during this time.
Can we play that one? Let's see.
You can at least play a little bit of it, and so you can get a good configuration of the lights, because it's not too bad, this, considering it's a nighttime video.
Yeah, I'll do. See.
Oh, where's it gone?
Oh, look, it's 4:3, so it's obviously 1984. Just speed it up a wee bit. No captions, so it looks like it's only a short video. Easy now, so I don't think that would be copy protected. Surely it must be public domain now. But this is the thing, as Joe Rogan keeps asking, we've got no way of knowing if people are using public domain videos on their channel or not. So what do we got? We've got this ring thing, is it? Now, I'd zoom in, but that makes it more detectable, you see, as well. Make it bigger screen, right? But I suppose we could take a chance. Is that it? Yeah, let's play it again. Pause it. Obviously, the movement is shaking the hand. So it looks like all the lights are linked, right? I don't know if we could do much with the footage.
No.
What could it be though? 1984. Doesn't look like a triangle. Is it like skydivers coming down, maybe? Would they be doing skydivings back then? But it does look like they're connected, but it's misleading though.
It's holding formation
Yeah,
fairly well.
it still could be
I don't know.
skydivers or flares, you see. So yeah, probably not worth analysing it.
No.
But sometimes you could change the blackness here and see if there's a shape connecting something here. You see, see if it's individual or maybe connected to a full craft. But we carry on, I guess. Pause that. What's going on? Okay, so just carry on reading. Initial wave. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, has it got the right part selected? Looks like it.
Yeah.
It's a wee bit tricky. Sometimes it plays up.
Initial wave, 1983. Perhaps the most well-known of the early Hudson Valley sightings would occur on the 24th of March over the skies of Brewster. The town's telephone switchboard became jammed with frantic calls reporting strange lights in the night sky. Gridlocked drivers on the Taconic Parkway left their vehicles to observe the lights passing overhead. They appeared to be part of a large mothership craft, according to some. Dennis Sant is just one person who witnessed the craft as it made its way directly over his home. Sant, a government employee for almost 20 years, and married father of 5 children, is an extremely credible witness. He would later state, "Thoughts started to flood my mind, thoughts of the craft touching the ground, thoughts of an encounter with an alien being, thoughts of being abducted. All types of fearful thoughts started to enter my mind." According to Sant, the object was most definitely 3-dimensional and made of girder-like, dark grey metallic outer shell. The lights were all brilliant colours and had the look of a floating city at night. Check out the video below. It looks at Sant's experience in a little more detail.
Oh god, who's that one with?
Yeah, there's not much point in playing all that, Paul. What a lot of the witnesses were describing was something like a watery effect, like the craft was like rippling water. Others described it as molten metal. So they weren't looking at what was quite a solid object. It was kind of, in a way, materializing and dematerializing. It was solid one minute and it wasn't the next. Okay. And there was many reports like that. I mean, we can't go over every single witness report because there was thousands of them.
Don't know. It looks like it's from our famous Unsolved Mysteries, I'd say. Is it? Can we?
It is Unsolved Mysteries, that particular piece, yeah.
But we can actually just skim it without.
Okay.
But yeah, looks like it's obviously got some words there.
Yeah, it would be helpful if you could play a bit of the witness testimony for sure.
Yeah. But we know what these people are like. They don't give fair use for a clip.
I know.
And Google won't back us up. You have to take it to court. And that's what they said in their latest video. And yet they used to have a fund where they used to fight for people, and they don't do that anymore. They don't care about the creators anymore. But yeah, that would have been a good clip to play. So we'll just maybe paste that separately then, and people can watch it. So this was...
people can watch the whole page because all the videos on the page are worth watching. So they can do that in their own time, maybe, yeah.
From TV show. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And whereabouts? That was that one, wasn't it? So we go to the next bit underneath.
The Hudson Valley sightings of the 1980s are still happening.
What happened there? Something crazy going on.
First published May the 1st, 2017. Last updated March the 11th, 2019. Written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time 4 minutes. Posted in UFO starting in the early 1980 seconds. The residents of the Hudson Valley area of New York would begin seeing strange aerial sights. The bulk, or first wave, of these strange sightings occurred between 1981 and 1994. All were startlingly similar in nature. Multiple lights would be seen in the sky, usually moving into formation. Sometimes the lights would move through the sky as if they were all part of one craft. What would also make these particular sightings all the more unique is the multiple witnesses to these events. Photograph of strange UFO sighting. Although the sightings died down somewhat in the mid-90s, there are still reports of such activity in the region today. Perhaps even more interestingly, a short distance away in the Bronx, a surge in UFO. Several months later, in late June, another mass sighting occurred. This time, frightened residents could hear a strange, low humming sound permeate the whole area. Suddenly a huge, disc-shaped craft, exploding in strange lights, made a pass over them. Estimates later claimed the craft to be the size of 16 or 17 houses. You can check out the short video clip below, which shows another typical sighting of the era in Hudson Valley.
Well, that's bigger than 1,000 feet long, isn't it? 17 houses. That's way big. So that's like
It's enormous, yeah.
Well, how many feet would be a house? Quite a few.
A mile is 1,600 feet, isn't it? So what's that? 3/4 of a mile. That's big.
Okay. And that would be bigger than any blimp at the time. So what's this one here? 1983.
Yeah, it's just another video, but it's quite a good one.
Yeah, but can we play it?
I don't know, Paul.
Well, let's have a quick
It's all
look.
up to you, that.
Why is it not opening up in a separate tab? I must have clicked up too high. We'll get there, Here we go. So what's it from? Can we tell? Doesn't sound like a TV channel, but doesn't mean they're not using TV clips, fortunately. There we go. I'll just pause it as it goes. It's only 12 seconds by the looks of it. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's fine. It looks kind of D-shaped or boomerang shaped at that point. What you can't see there, what the witnesses described, was between those lights, it was blocking out the stars you see, so there was a solid object in between the lights.
I just want to probably stick that through an editor myself. But
we have to do that
if it's
in no
on
time. It's been done before.
Is it a boomerang? It looks like it could be darker there. Is it my just imagination? It looks like there's a dark bit.
Well, that's what the witnesses were saying. Yeah, it was all joined by solid craft. Yeah.
I think I should just do a quick throw it in the editor there. Just have a quick look. It could be just my imagination. Okay. Why does it not come up? It is thinking a bit today. Okay. Where's my folder gone? and drag it over. Okay, we just want to open that up quickly in the editor and have a quick look. See, because the lights seem to be not in formation, like as you expect, it could be like Chinese lanterns or something, couldn't it? So, that one. Well, let's see, let's do a colour flip on it, see if there's any difference in blackness. Okay. Well, it's making the lights bigger, but nothing seems to be popping out apart from looks like a VH tape effect going on there. No colour changes. Well, that's pretty bad. That's not good. Doesn't look like it's part of a craft there to me. Let's try lighten it. Same thing happening. There we go. It looks pretty constant in background colour there. And then we get some pixels popping up. Yeah, probably need to get hold of the original video probably. No, it doesn't. It looks like single lights again. So yeah, keep that. Close that down. Speed up the machine again. So on to the next bit. That's sort of hanging there. Further sightings. People are quiet on the side there. Welcome. Is it reading out? I can't hear it.
Further sightings. The sightings would continue throughout the 80s. Even then, by comparison to today, with reduced news outlets and no internet, some people were beginning to connect the dots of these random sightings. In the summer of 1986, while driving home from work one evening, Rob Levine focused his attention on what looked to be a low-flying aircraft. Within seconds it had moved much closer to his position. He brought the vehicle to a stop. The object flashed with colored lights, unlike anything he had seen before. As he maintained his view of the object, it seemed to keep moving further away and then closer. All the time the craft did this at great speed. The lights would flash in a V shape and then seem to form into strange, unknown letters. Levine would later claim that he had a feeling the craft was attempting to communicate. All the while, he noticed how quiet his surroundings were, almost surreal, as were the light beams projecting from it. However, they seemed to Levine to be strangely projecting from the ground and up to the craft. In total, between 1982 and 1986 alone, over 300 reports of such sightings occurred. The details of them were remarkably similar. All would speak of lights in many colors and of them arranging themselves into shapes, in particular, a V shape. The video below looks at the Hudson Valley sightings in a little more detail.
Yeah, it's the one we didn't want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's TV show looks but another, oh no, Alpha Kill River sighting.
Yeah. Okay, play that.
Let's try the American voice this time. See it kick it in. No, maybe it's not going to work. Try again. What's going on here? American voice is not cooperating. Okay, back to English.
The Hudson Valley sightings of the 1980s are still happening. First published, May the 1st, 2017, last updated, March the 11th, 2019, written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time, 4 minutes. Posted in UFO starting in the early 1980 seconds. The residents of the Hudson
we'll get it
Arthur Kill River sighting 2001.
Selecting web pages does some strange things. Go on, American. Why do we always have this problem? They probably know we use it and they want us to pay. Yeah, English is working.
Arthur Kill River sighting 2001. As the 14th of July gave way to the 15th, numerous people made reports of strange lights in the sky. Many made reports from their cars on the road approaching the New Jersey Turnpike. The lights seemed to be over the Arthur Kill River. The glowing orbs were in a V-shaped formation as they moved across the sky. Reports differed as to whether the lights were from one craft, or they represented individual objects. Some would claim that the lights began to scatter themselves away from each other before disappearing. Interestingly enough, neither the local weather service nor nearby Newark Airport picked up any strange activity on their respective specialist equipment. The whole episode evoked memories of the sightings of the 1980s for some. You can check out the short video clip below. Although it isn't the best quality, it still captures what the witnesses would later speak of.
Was that the video we just looked at? Looks very similar. Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same because it's on the same web page. So it wouldn't make sense for it to be the same with it.
It looks very similar though.
But it's not the same.
Okay, let's just see if it's a safe one to play. Looks like it's a 4.3, 2001. Looks like my internet thing is a bit slow. So it looks like it's playing something here. Please. Not the best quality. 360p.
You can see at one point it does actually form a triangle.
Yeah, but any three lights in the sky does too, right? So, which can be planes or whatever. Looks almost like a pentagon there.
Yeah.
It's pretty poor quality. Can we get any higher? 480. Come on. You can do it. Is it 480 now? Okay. Not too exciting though, is it?
Like I told you that beforehand, there's nothing special to be seen there.
It's not a triangle. It's certainly...
At one point it does look like one, but it's not. It's light in the sky, isn't it? That's all.
Yeah, that one there, look.
The camera never captures what the eye sees.
It does sort of have symmetry to it though.
Most people don't even know how to use a camera, to be honest, especially in the night sky.
Yeah, I don't know if you can put that through editor or not. It looks like it's all pretty constant background there. It's probably off a VHS tape, right? So You get all sort of strange artifacts.
1980s, yeah.
But it does have that sort of angle to it there, and angle there. Could it be just like a kite with some lights that someone's put on it? Who knows? Is it a real UFO? The thing is that these people don't film it until it disappears, right? And we've got no reference points. So the lights seem to have changed there, right? Is it because it's flying away, or are they swimming back in? So we don't know. Anyway, moving on. This thing's going crazy now. So why can't we get the American talking to us? It's very strange, isn't it?
Arthur Kill River sighting 2001.
Okay, we've gotten
Arthur Kill River sighting 2001
Is that
sightings.
paused?
Yeah, we've done
Yeah.
that better.
Have we got it back now? Well, I paused it.
Sightings. The Hudson Valley sightings of the 80s are still happening.
I thought we read that bit before. Oh, right. There we go.
We
That's
have.
the problem. I stuffed it up again.
First published.
It's too much for the American AI for the speech thing to do. Have I got it right this time? No, still got too much.
No.
Stupid, isn't it? So let's try going there then. We know it got it selected now. Come on. It's got to be that selection.
Sightings continue today, although they aren't as frequent. Many sightings persist in the Hudson Valley area.
Oh, it's going really slow, isn't it?
On
Oh,
5th of
wouldn't it be better if
June,
I read it out?
2016, during an intense thunderstorm, a report of such a sighting hit the internet.
It's never been this bad before, though.
Okay, just leave it.
Hang on.
Okay,
A storm
sightings
watcher,
continue
known on
today.
YouTube as Bill Nye Sky
No, no.
Watcher, managed to catch the strange craft during a live stream. Many people believe the footage shows genuine proof of UFO activity.
Really weird. Pauses there with a space.
So much so, that the British Disclosure Group analyzed the footage frame by frame to determine its authenticity.
So that's all we selected on that one. We can check out the footage below, and below that is a frame by frame.
Don't even bother with that piece of video. You won't see a damn thing.
Really?
I looked at it myself. Yeah, I'm telling you now, don't waste your time on it, please, Paul.
These sightings are also happening in other parts of New York, including New York City. In fact, here appears to have been a surge of sightings around 100 miles and almost directly to the south of Hudson Valley. Over the skies of the Bronx area of New York, many of these have found their way onto social media. Simple search on any search engine will bring up hundreds, if not thousands, of sightings. In April 2015, a flurry of sightings would occur. Perhaps more noticeable, they came in broad daylight, with numerous reports made to the authorities. The commotion was so great that local politicians would call for serious investigations into the strange airborne objects. Since then, sightings have become a regular occurrence both at night and during the day. So that's the ones we want to see, is the daytime ones, because the cameras work better at daytime than they do at night.
Yeah, sure, but maybe don't want to appear then. You know,
They don't want to appear on film, you know. Are these sightings from different areas of New York connected? Are they linked to the Hudson Valley sightings of 1980s? Is there any presence and indication? Is there a presence or an indication that a base or even a portal lays nearby in New York region? I don't know if there's any undersea bases that side, is there?
I mean, that's pure speculation.
Well, we had the Malibu one, or whatever it is, over California way, right?
Yeah.
I think there was something down the coast there that people talked about. Video clip below looks at just one of these recent New York sightings. How recent is that though? Disclaimer. The stories, accounts, and discussion in this article are not based on proven facts. Copyright and republishing piracy. So everyone's covering their asses nowadays. So, yeah, that looks like a TV thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very unusual. I don't know if we can step through it, but it looks like there's going to be a talking head on that one. So you want to put another link up? I think that's the end.
Yeah. Just to explain now, you know, Hynek and Imbrogno covered the Hudson Valley sightings in their book, Night Siege. Now, the book was tainted a little because Imbrogno was found out to have lied about some of his qualifications. He never went to MIT, as he said he did. We don't have to type that in, Paul.
Yeah, I'll just bring it up while you're talking. So people know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Dr. Hynek.
Yeah, but we'll be moving on to him soon. I've got it all planned out, Paul. I spent a week doing it, you know.
Yeah, I'm waiting for your link though, mate.
Yeah, sure. I was actually talking.
Yeah, I was bringing that image while you're talking about the person.
Okay.
So people got something to look at as you're talking.
No problem with that one. Hold on, just waiting for this link to settle. There we go.
Yeah.
It was also covered as well by Linda Zimmerman on a later day. She made at least 2 books on the sightings, and she discovered a lot of the people were claiming abduction. She found an awful lot more witnesses. So at the end, there was actually 500 witnesses, I believe, that that was considered fairly genuine and explained. And when you consider that the whole of Blue Book, which ran over like 17 years, only managed to unexplained was 701, I believe. So there's a very large percentage from that sighting alone unexplained. So it was a mass sighting. Okay, and I've left you skeptoid. I'm afraid we have to look at this.
I couldn't find a picture of Linda Zimmerman. I must have spelled her name wrong, so maybe.
Yeah, Z-A-Z-I-N-N-E-R.
That's what I typed.
M-A-N.
Linda, did you say?
Yeah, you need M-A-N on the end. Other than that, you're fine.
Zimmerman. Yeah, okay.
M-A-N.
Man.
Man. Not an N.
Oh, there she goes.
That's her, yeah.
Okay,
she seems quite sincere.
We've talked about her before, haven't we, on some of the other cases? This rings a bell.
Nah, no, I don't. Not in any cases I brought up, no. Because she only actually covers, she does quite a few books on paranormal as well.
That's where I've heard of. That's where that's where the name's from. It's to do with paranormal. I knew I recognised the name. I think she's got her own podcast or paranormal group, actually. It's kind of
She's
rings
got her
a
own
bit.
webpage and stuff, but she's more an author than anything else, you know. She's
Yeah.
appeared on quite. She was on the Martin Miller show. I watched a bit of her last night.
Okay, Skeptoid. Oh, back to this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so where we want to go with this one?
You can skip the first paragraph or two.
Let's see.
And just take it from there.
In this case, where I was wish someone would jump in the car. Okay, so let's take it from there then. Come on, select the right bit. Now we know the English guy's working okay. The other American guy, he seems a bit dozy today. We can never get a good AI reader all the time without paying.
By all reports, hundreds of people saw the UFO on many occasions during the summers of 1983 and 1984, and some sources even list a few reports from other years. Always, the descriptions were the same. It's the kind of case where I always wish someone would jump in their car and follow this UFO to see where it goes. And luckily, that's exactly what happened in this case. In August of 1984, just as the second summer of the Hudson Valley UFO was winding down, Jeffrey Schmaltz of the New York Times ground the leads down as far as he could and reported this. One officer, according to Sergeant Kenneth V. Spire of Troop K of the State Police, which is responsible for the area in which the sightings have been, followed the object. He tracked it to Stormville Airport, the sergeant said. It was a group of light planes. They fly in formation. Airplanes flying in formation. Well, did he arrest them, I hope? The trooper spoke to a couple of the pilots, and they're getting a big kick out of it. There's no violation of the law here. Schmaltz took it to the FAR to verify it.
So,
Okay, yeah. Let me explain that now. He does have a little point. But what happened, there was a number of sightings, and these pilots thought, ooh, we'll jump on the bandwagon, and maybe we could fool a few people. But it seems that it only accounted for a fairly small number of the sightings.
Well, if you listen to...
But he's making it out to explain them all.
Yeah, of course. But if you listen to Joe Rogan, David Fravor said they used to fly down to campers and spook them. So they would get up to speed and sort of make the engines very quiet and just turn on their lights just as they're over a campfire, then hit the afterburners and fly out of sight. And he said a lot of UFO sightings was them pranking people. As if military pilots would do that, you know?
Well, yeah, this is it. And the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration, they found no pilots at all responsible for these sightings. The thing is, you have to have a transponder, okay, on your plane to fly.
But if we have a look at this old one here, that kind of looks like...
Wait there, Paul. That's wait there, Paul. That's a rule of your pilot's license, okay? Yeah. So if you fly without a transponder, that's it. Your license is gone. You're banned. You're finished. So why would so many people put their license at risk? And also, flying in close formation in the dark is a damn risky business.
So this could be a formation of planes.
All for a UFO prank. It doesn't add up to me. Plus, planes make a noise and planes don't hover. So it's not what the witnesses were describing. Hate to be forceful, but I had to make that point.
Yeah, but it could be planes, but normally you get three lights, right? So 3 bright lights. And it doesn't sort of fit that pattern.
No, as I said, they could well have been responsible for some of the sightings and some of the photographs, so that they could be planes for all I know.
So, just read out a bit more, I guess.
Timothy L. Hartnett, the Deputy Director of the Eastern Region of the FAA, said of the hoaxes that there were no regulations prohibiting planes from flying in formation. They can fly as close together as they feel safe, he said. And in areas of sparse population, planes could fly as low as 500 feet. Of course, none of this was any surprise to people who were in general aviation in the area.
What's happened?
A year before, in the summer of 1983, Tony Capaldi was a local air traffic controller, and here's what he told Unsolved Mysteries. There's anywhere from upwards of 7 to 10 aircraft that fly around in formation, and this is visible from our tower. The first time I observed the formation flying, it looked a little peculiar. From our vantage point in the tower, they just appeared to be just one big light, because they are flying in tight formation. To estimate the size, maybe 2 football fields wide.
It's not too close though, if it's planes. Just going to do that selection thing again.
Yeah.
Next bit. It's a bit slow tonight, isn't it?
And just to be clear, there's no evidence that these pilots ever intended a UFO hoax. As Discover magazine put it in a 1984 article, the area abounds with amateur pilots who fly private planes out of a number of airports, including the Strip at Stormville. Several years ago, it seems, a few of the Stormville pilots began practicing formation flying, first in daylight, then, as their skills improved, at night. Before long, other pilots joined them, and what began as loose groupings of planes became tight formations of aircraft with as little as 6 inches between wingtips. By early 1983, when local newspapers began printing stories about strange sightings and experiences, and television stations ran tapes of the mysterious lights in the sky, the pilots were incredulous, then amused. The group began calling themselves the Martians. What about reports of the UFO lights suddenly all going off at once? Discover continued, flying Cessna 152 seconds and other single-engine planes in tight formations. They might all douse their exterior lights at the same time. This will result in reports about UFOs that suddenly disappeared from the sky. They vary their formations, from crescents and circles to crosses that looked from the ground like diamonds or V's, giving rise to reports about different and sometimes startling UFO shapes.
So that's the thing, is they can turn off all their plane lights, military planes. And call sign, of course. But can they turn off individual lights, turn off more lights, and just have a couple on? I don't know if they can do that or not. I'm not sure how it would be wired up. You need to be a pilot to know whether you can turn all the lights off or individual lights on and off. Makes sense that you probably turn on the landing gear lights separate to the wingtip lights, but you think the wingtip lights... I suppose if it's a military plane, they might have that control, you see. So we'd only have to talk to a pilot to tell us how the planes are wired. Especially back in, what year was that one? 1983, so... I don't know if that information is available on the net or not. Here we go, it's selected too much again.
Whoa.
No. You're a wee bit behind. It's selected now.
And the coloured lights, white, red and green, are of course the colour of aircraft navigation lights, changing depending on what angle you see them from. Although Unsolved Mysteries focused its interviews on police officers who didn't accept the airplane identification, this wasn't true for most of them. William Wolfe Jr. was a police dispatcher when the police first started seeing the Martians. They looked like airplanes to me, I said. I live near an airport, so I see these airplanes every day. So as they were coming over, he says you can't hear anything. I said listen, and we started to hear a drone. It wasn't one big solid unit. But if you looked at it for a couple of minutes, or even a fraction as it was coming over, I could see where some people would have gotten upset.
I must admit,
Now, can you see
when the
there?
plane...
Can you done?
Hang on, what are you saying there,
If you
Robert?
got, you see what if you got a clinical mind here, critical thinking. Can you see what he's done? He's used one witness testimony, yeah, to explain the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm just thinking about planes flying around here. Oh, you're breaking up, Robert. Are you there?
Yeah. He's cherry-picked the information to suit his purposes.
Right. You're starting to get corruption there, and that's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the planes flying over my area all the time because we're under the flight path. Sometimes you hear the jet engines, and depending which way the wind's going and how far away they are, you don't actually hear the planes, but you see the lights. So I can understand why they might not have heard anything. Depends on the wind direction and how far away it is, of course.
Yeah, but it's still not what the witnesses were describing overall. Maybe a few are fooled by the planes, but
Right.
okay, we can move on then.
So do you think it's one craft or multiple crafts that is seen?
I think it's multiple.
And why would UFOs have green and red on lights?
Well, whole thing, people didn't describe that either. You need to undo that highlighting you've got there before you move on to the next bit, or it's going to start.
I got that sorted. I might change my VPN.
If the whole Hudson Valley UFO episode was so easily explained, as indeed it appears to be, then why would these authors write the 1987 book Night Siege and so passionately promote the idea that it's unsolved or that it must be an alien spacecraft? Much has to do with who they are. These were not journalists or objective reporters. They were all UFO authors who made their careers out of sensationalizing these little stories they found by keeping an eye on the newspapers. None had any serious academic credibility. Here is where author Imbrogno lost me in this story. There is a clip of decent video of the UFO, shot by local resident Bob Pozzuoli, sometimes spelled Pasali, in July of 1984. It shows probably 6 light clusters. It's a bit blurry and grainy to tell for sure, roughly in a circle. The ones on the left hold their position pretty well, but the ones on the right aren't even close, moving in and out and greatly disrupting the circle. Watching that video, Imbrogno says, it has been looked at by a number of photographic experts who indicate that the movement of the object in the video seems to be one rigid object, and not individual objects.
Okay, is that the one we looked at the start?
Good point to be made here, yeah. Is this where I take great offence? These people weren't scientifically capable, yeah, of making the observation. Now, let's hold on a minute, yeah. He's talking about Hynek here, who was the chief author of the book, yeah. Hynek worked on the proximity fuse during the Second World War. He also worked on satellite tracking and was a consultant to the Air Force on UFOs for 22 years. So how does he have no scientific background? Can you please tell me that? I'd love to know.
These unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. That's not what I'm talking about, Paul.
Yeah, they said they had some picture that he took.
Yeah, okay, now forget about that. Let's look at Skeptoid and their explanation and who actually wrote that article. That's the most important thing.
I was hoping to find his image that they're talking about. 6 light clusters. It's just strange that they didn't have the image linked to the article, probably because of copyright again, probably. Let's see, is it worth changing my VPN to another one? Let's see if it'll read out faster. as night goes on, there should be less people on the internet anyway.
If by photographic expert he means a photographer, then he means one who can't tell a circle from a square from a rhombus with its top torn off, and who doesn't even think to do a simple frame comparison to see that the lights are not holding formation very well at all. Believers in the Hudson Valley UFO, imbroglio included, have acknowledged that the Martians were flying around, but have repeatedly argued that there was also a UFO, and that witnesses could tell which one they were looking at. This raises an important question. This alleged UFO only existed at a time and place where the Martians were doing their nighttime formation flying. The UFO looked the same, behaved the same, it flew in the same way and in the same place. Would that not be a staggering coincidence? Isn't it more likely that our human perceptual errors and confirmation bias and selective memory and all the other cognitive phenomena that shape our perceptions played some role here? Personally, I think it is. Largely because I had an identical experience of my own. I was camped out in Death Valley one night with 2 friends, in the middle of nowhere. We were sitting outside looking for shooting stars and satellites, when we all noticed this massive object flying slowly overhead. It looked like it was at extremely high altitude and the size of a city, defined by lights around its perimeter, shaped like an arrowhead. It was perfectly silent and rock solid, and we marveled as we watched it drift all the way across the sky until it went out of view. Like Joe Mill's neighbors, we used pretty colorful language, wondering aloud what it could be. I clearly remember the rush I felt. I was Mr. Skeptoid, and here was something incredible that absolutely defied explanation. Half an hour later, it came overhead again. For some reason, this time we quickly figured it out. It was a group of F-18 seconds out of nearby China Lake doing aerial refueling behind a KC-10 tanker, holding steady in formation. When I got home, I researched and got the details.
F-18s? Okay. Well, that's true. And of course, I was thinking it's going to be like a pilot like Favourite doing a campsite dive bomb. But no, it's something different. So Death Valley, that's out near California, isn't it? So
okay, yeah. I'll just 1 minute break, Paul.
1 minute. Why? You want to go to the toilet again? So where's Death Valley? Yeah, that's the next one we're doing. Oh well, let's close that one. Here's a new one. California, there you go. How far away from the coast is it? Ooh, okay. Where's it not highlighted here? Where is Death Valley? Oh, here. There it goes. National Park. Oh, what's going on? So I guess it's all this here. Las Vegas. Doesn't look like there's much water there, does it? That's why it's probably called Death Valley. There seems to be plenty of place names here, though. And what's that? Is that some water there? What's that there? Lake?
What we need to do now is move swiftly on, yeah, to Brian Denning, yeah, the skeptoid guy.
Right.
Just have a look at his argument, because he's basically rubbished Alan Hynek, and we know his credentials, don't we? Or we should do. Anyone can look them up. And let's have a little look at just how educated Brian Denning is.
He was a PhD in science, wasn't he, Hynek?
Yes,
Hynek?
he was. in more, well, you had more degrees in the thermometer, to be honest.
Yeah, Hynek qualifications.
But I just
Normally-
told you worked proximity fuse. You worked on satellite tracking.
Oh, I spelled his name wrong.
22 years in the Air Force as a UFO consultant. But Brian Denning reckons there was no qualifications there.
Does it tell us the qualifications here? Hynek's qualifications. No. Where's the qualifications? I did see it on the list. I don't see it now. Project Blue Book. Below me. Well, it should have been here, shouldn't it? Department of Physics. So he was a stargazer. Yeah, you'd think you'd have a list of his qualifications here, though, wouldn't you? But yeah, originally was hired as a cover-up man for the government. And he realised that there was something more going on and decided to switch sides.
Yes, he turned up in the end, yeah.
He didn't like what they were doing. So what do you want me to do? Read out some more?
No, forget about that. It's just, let's have a look at Mr. Denning here, our little friend from Skeptoid, and let's see what he's about. He knows everything, doesn't he?
I thought it was Phil Klass that knew everything as well.
Yeah.
And Mick West, of course.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, can I just mention
Yes.
what Philip Klass said? I've got his quote here. Philip Klass said about this incident, Hudson Valley incident. This is one of the most difficult UFO cases to explain in rational terms. Now that actually came from Philip Klass. My God. It's quite a statement coming from him, isn't it?
Yep. There's not much on this page, so I'm not sure what we've done wrong here. Wikipedia?
Oh, don't start spoiling the flow of things, so we need to get on to Richard Denning now. Or Brian Denning, sorry.
Well, that's what I brought up. And it's saying which one. Author?
What are you doing?
Well, I typed in your link, and that's what it gave me.
That's him.
No, it's nothing there. Wikipedia does not have an article with the exact name. Search for Denning author. Okay.
Skeptoid. That's him.
Where?
Brian Denning. Author. And you can see Skeptoid since.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
What do you want to say about him?
Quite a bit. Look, for a start, he's an author and a filmmaker. He's got no science background whatsoever. And if you go down a little bit, you'll also find that he spent 18 months in prison for fraud.
18 months in prison for fraud. What kind of fraud? 3 years.
Wire fraud.
He was sentenced to 15 months in prison to be followed by 3 years of supervision. Now, you seem to be cutting out there a wee bit, Robert. Can you just jump out and jump back in again and just fix that up?
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's my end or on Google as well. It's like it's lost some sync in there, hasn't it? I think it's after we went to toilet, wasn't it? You back with us?
Yep.
You seem quieter again. So what's going on?
I don't know.
I think it might have corrected itself. Can you just say what you're going to say so I can hear?
Yeah, well, I mean, how much can we trust this guy now?
That sounds good.
You know, he's got no science background, but yet he criticises Hynek.
Yeah.
He's a convicted criminal for fraud, but we're expected to believe what he tells us.
So he's
I
another.
don't think
He's
we can
another.
lend.
Yeah, he's another fraudster that set up his own website to make money from it. Obviously.
Yeah. He's making money out of skeptoid, isn't he? So it's in his interest to debunk everything because it's not in his interest to say that it's potentially something maybe alien. But don't mention that word.
He also created skeptoid.org spin-off video series. I haven't seen that. In fact, and Feed and Tube, both available on YouTube. For the Feed and Tube, never heard of it. So yeah, he's probably rolling in the money then, isn't he?
Yeah, so I don't think he can be trusted.
Buy a link. What's this? 1996, during co-founded and was chief technology officer. Received venture capital funding from Hummer. In 2000, he participated in a presentation. So I was just wondering where the wire fraud come into. Yes. So it's just like another UFO proof then that's got a criminal record that's on YouTube trying to make money.
Yeah.
And fraud cases.
It's an every UFO case he tries to debunk.
Whoa, look at this.
Always ends.
2008, eBay filed suit against Dunham, accusing him of defrauding eBay and eBay affiliates in a cookie stuffing scheme for his company. Oh, naughty boy. Cookie stuffing. Let's see, it comes up with a thing. One of the World Wide Web cookie stuffing is an affiliate marketing technique in which, as a result of visiting a website, a user receives a third-party cookie from a website unrelated to that visited by the user, usually without users being aware of it. Alright, so you would have had like a hidden link that loaded it into an iframe to create a cookie. And Ring Cherry indicted Dunham on charges of wire fraud. So that's where the wire fraud come into then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it the right year? Yeah, 2014. So not that long ago then. That's really bad.
No.
That's really bad. Oh, this is why you should always type the person's name and put fraud on the end. See what comes up.
Well, it's not hard to do. If you find an article that you find of interest and you think, is this right or is it not? Always have a look who's wrote that article and just make a little inquiry into who that person is. Because sometimes it's easily found.
Yeah.
You know whether they're credible or not, that is.
But it's funny, it says wire fraud case here in 2008. It said
2014. It doesn't matter now. It's a UFO channel, so, I'm just making my point about Brian Denning. He's not a trustworthy person.
So eBay tried to get him, but the case was dismissed in 2014, so they got him on something else here. Was sentenced in August to 15 months in prison to the company receiving between $200,000 and $400,000 in fraudulent commissions from eBay. Oh no, looks like carried on then. Civil suit was dismissed. Well, how come you can go to jail if they dismissed it? I'm not quite understanding how all this works. But yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. It takes a little bit of research.
Yeah. So yeah,
And
cast
no
out.
science background whatsoever. Just a filmmaker, author, crook. But yet he dismisses Hynek,
Well, obviously he knew
someone unqualified.
Obviously he knew something about computer coding too.
Yeah.
But he was after easy money, obviously.
Yeah. Paul, time to move on now.
Of course. I'm waiting. So where do you want to
Yeah.
go? You got a link?
You should have.
Don't see it.
There now. This damn thing moves down.
Yep.
You go.
The problem, though, was when you look at websites and start reading, you don't think about plugging the person's name into it and doing a background check on the person, do you? And it's the same with anything you watch online.
Well, I do.
Well, you do, because you've been with me too long. But other people out there that follow security team, they don't even do a background check on who they're watching, right?
Nah, this is how people get suckered so easily, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you go to search on a website and you start reading the article, but you don't pay attention who wrote it, and it sounds all good, you still have to check out the person. Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that what he said was wrong, but certainly making up
gives you a good indication, yeah.
Well, when he's making a conclusion on what he thinks, then doesn't have any bearing if he's not actually just ex-MUFON investigator and all that sort of stuff, right? So
it doesn't. No, and you can see from his article, he always. That's one thing I was going to say. He always ends his articles on UFO debunking by saying the same thing. I'd love to believe in aliens, but given the evidence, I can't. So it's kind of reverse psychology, isn't it? Where he's telling you, nah, you know what I mean? I am a believer, but not this time. And every time it's not this time.
Yeah, I think when you got multiple events spread over many months, it's very hard to narrow down what all the sightings are. You have to do it on one case, right? So yeah, of course, you talked about back in the 80s. Handycams started coming out in 82, so that's why we got some video footage there, obviously. And of course, they weren't very good with low light, the early ones, not till 2000, I think it was. Quite a few years after, where they're still making handycams, but obviously the technology improved. And they started having better sensors and low light sensors and all that sort of stuff. So we're moving on to the Belgian Wave in France.
Yeah.
Above France, I should say.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Belgium is as good a border with France and Germany.
So we've got a map here. Whereabouts it is. So Robert's over here somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah. There we go. Above France, Germany, Netherlands. This case happened all over Belgium, though, so it's quite a big area here.
Yeah, it went into some parts of France as well.
Obviously, and probably Germany, maybe.
Yeah, I believe so.
And
happened over about 15 months, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I can't see much build up here. What's wrong with the image here? Here's all the houses.
They'll be there when you get closer.
Maybe it's just plugging along. Well, that looks like a major intersection here. Nothing seems to be happening though. Kind of weird. Oh, I can't see any build-ups. There's a major city here. How do we turn off the lines here?
Yeah, it's Ghent. Brussels is the capital, but Ghent's a big city as well.
Hmm. Yeah, but I can't see anything because it's not bringing up proper image though. Kind of weird.
Yeah, but how important is it to a UFO event?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why we got so many lines here though. Maybe because we haven't specialized. Let's click on the city name there. Oh, there you go. That might improve it. I just still got all this overlay. I think it's probably how we searched on it. Let's just type Ghent in. Remember we were looking at a video a couple, well, maybe 4 live Sundays ago, and it was actually a weather balloon that burst. It was at Ghent, that location there. Oh, here we go. Are we getting rid of all those lines now? That's looking better. Oop. What happened there? But you can see it's quite a busy area. So how many people are in Belgium? Must be. What year was this happened in?
It's got to be about 20 million in Belgium easily.
1989 to 91.
Yeah. Over about 15 months, I believe.
Belgian population's got to be fairly big. Oh, 11.3 million today. We got a time thing here. What's that? 80s.
Yeah.
10 million back then. Population keeps going up. It's almost doubled in size since the 1980s, 90s. Hasn't changed much there. Probably they all moved to UK, right? Immigration. Yeah, so yeah, that seemed to be bringing up the map properly, then it went crazy again. Anyway, we can get rid of that, I suppose. I might just leave it up because there's a city that we want to look up. Just close that down there. So let's start reading out this one. I've got too much selected, have I?
The wave of UFO sightings that took hold of Belgium between November 1989 and April 1991 is truly one of the most remarkable moments in UFO history. What's more, the sightings would result in over 2,000 incident reports. Most of these meticulously detailed in nature. Further still, over 650 of these accounts were subject to investigation. 500 remain unexplained.
So yeah, that's right. You got million population, but only 2,000 noticed anything. That's because everyone else is too busy looking down all the time.
People may just be indoors, Paul.
Yeah. Were these ones all nighttime? Do you know? Or all?
No, not all of them. I don't know, but whether the daylight ones are genuine or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So this was the famous picture, but we're going to get to that, I guess, and the debunking side of things.
Everything about the Belgian UFO wave suggests legitimate sightings of something completely unknown. So much so, it would be the authorities themselves who would push for such thorough investigations. Indeed, the Belgian authorities showed quite clearly that a country's populace would, and did, act with calm and rational foresight in the face of events quite irrational and bizarre. Much like the Cosford incident 3 years later, the final determinations of the authorities quietly suggest a phenomenon that desperately requires further investigation. And this particular wave of sightings would produce tangible, albeit small, evidence to not only support its own claims, but those of other sightings across the planet. Before we look at some of the sightings in more detail, check out the video below. It is a rare piece of footage showing a typical sighting of the wave and some Belgian news segments.
I suppose it might be a safe one. Oh, let's put music. Yeah, we don't want music. Okay.
Yeah, well, I wasn't intending you to be playing any of these, Bob, because I don't think we should do it, to be honest now.
News of the news items. I can't even see what that says up there. You can see how blurry it is. So that definitely looks like a triangle. It did look like it had a light underneath.
Yes, that's a good piece of footage, actually. It's one of the best pieces, that.
What's that say down there in the logo? So I don't know what that is. Looks like a news clip, doesn't it? It does look like it's got a little light in the middle though. Terrible footage. There's light. But is it just a plane? What the hell's going on now? Oh, look at that radar scope.
Yeah, there was at least 2 intercepts.
It's got some closed captions here. Oh, right, some different
So
language.
attempted intercepts.
Doesn't look like an equilateral triangle, is it? Well, I suppose it could be.
Of course, it could be. Depends the way it's rotating.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy footage though. Look,
Of course it is, yeah.
what is it? 144p. I wonder if we can get higher than that. That's the auto select, so it must be a really bad footage. Yeah, that's real great. And now we got the kids complaining about who's that UFO today. Well, that's a Ford channel as well. But yeah. For him to have it up there, though, he couldn't have got copyright on it. Because he would have deleted it, probably. Unless he was using it to attract people to his channel. He's got, what, 19,000 subscribers. So yeah, the footage ain't that great. Do we pause that? There we go. So we want to read out the next bit.
Yeah.
Let's see how we go. I think we must be getting close to our 20 minutes readout.
Okay, I'd rather read the damn thing myself, to be honest.
Upham, Belgium, November 1989. A little after 5:30 p.m. on the 29th of November 1989 in the town of Upham, patrolling police would inform their switchboard operator, Albert Cutes, of a huge airborne object hovering over a field in front of them. According to their report, it was so bright it was lighting up the field like a football stadium. Cutes, given that it was almost Christmas, returned with a quip that it might be St. Nick. However, the on-site officers urged him to go to the top floor of the building and look out of the window to see it for himself. Realizing the report was not a prank by his colleagues, he did as suggested. Once there, he could see the mammoth craft looking like a boat floating in the sky. By the time Cutes was back in position at the switchboard, residents were swamping the system with calls of the strange, bright object. When police officer Dieter Plumans and his partner made their report of visual contact with the craft, Cutes told him to follow it. They did so for several minutes before it came to a stop and hovered over a retirement home. They too stopped their vehicle and watched the bizarre scene unfold in front of them. The object was a distinct triangle with 3 orange/brown lights in each corner. In the middle of the underside was a bright red light that flashed at regular intervals. As Plumans and his partner looked on, a small drone-like object left the main craft, constantly flashing in unison with the middle light above. It surveyed the area before rejoining the triangle, which then left with great alacrity. 13 reports of sightings would come from police officers alone that evening. Over 60 more would come from citizens.
So I didn't realise there was a small object come off a big one. Main craft, it says here. Small objects constantly flashing in unison and the middle light above. That's kind of strange.
It also sounds similar, doesn't it, to the Hudson Valley sightings? You know, when they said there was a beam of light coming down over the power station, there was also a beam of light coming down over lakes.
But I just find it interesting about this little craft underneath.
Yeah, that is...
With the middle lights flashing in unison.
Yeah. For want of a better word, that'd be, you know, those big triangles and maybe a ship of sorts, you know? And some of them reportedly are huge.
Yeah, I just wondered why it would do that, though.
Describing them, I mean, you even go back to the Phoenix light in 97, can't you? When people describing them as 2 miles wide and as big as football fields and as big as aircraft carriers, people, they all have different ways of describing things, don't they? You know, we also seen like a building six stories high. You know, all these different kind of explanations that are basically describing the same thing, something huge and triangular in the skies.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering why they're flashing to each other. It was almost like a, you know, like Morse code by lights.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could actually be some kind of communication thing. I don't really know. The side effect of the propulsion system, or they just don't care that we see them or not. It could be what the hell are you going to do about it anyway kind of thing.
Mass media interest. By early December, the sightings were not only national news, the world's press turned their attention to them. All described the same object, triangular with 3 orange lights and a middle red light. By the evening of the 11th going into the 12th of December, another surge of sightings occurred. One of these sightings took place over the skies of Ernage. The witness was an experienced Army Colonel, Andre Ammon.
Guess what? Time is up.
Oh, where did it end?
Yeah, looks like 20 minutes is up.
No problem.
We can use the other reader, but it might be a bit slow. Let's see if it's improved any.
Mass media interest. By early December, the sightings were not only national news, the world's press turned their attention to them. All described the same object, triangular with 3 orange lights and a middle red light. By the evening of the 11th going into the 12th of December, another surge of sightings occurred. One of these sightings took place over the skies of Ernage. The witness was an experienced Army Colonel, Andre Ammon. While driving to the train station to pick up their son, Ammon and his wife would notice 3 bright lights set out like a triangle with a pulsating red light between them. Ammon would bring his car to a halt in order to get a better view. As he did so, the triangular craft slowed also. He repeated this several times, each time the craft slowing with him. It then went into nearby woodland.
So it looks like the American AI is woken up, finally. I think it's because people are jumping off the VPN.
Just remember to and highlight the above text, yeah.
Oh, I scrolled too far now. Woodland. There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
I think I got it.
Ammon followed it, eventually pulling his car over near an open field. There, from behind the trees, came the brightly lit airborne behemoth. Ammon would report that he could hear other traffic and even a nearby train, but no sound whatsoever came from this huge ship. Just as he was about to leave, the craft shot away at speed. Ammon would later state that, no man-made object is able to do what I saw that object do that day. Not then, and still not now. Other sightings would pour in from the general public. Numerous residents of Liege and Namur would report seeing a triangular craft over their houses. One particular man in Jupil-sur-Meuse claimed to witness a glowing object over nearby woodland, struggling to free itself from a spruce tree. He was so close he could see symbols of electrons on its side. The video below is a news report from 1993.
Symbols of electrons. So was he talking about the like an atom with the electrons whizzing around on the outer shell?
Do you know, I'm not exactly sure exactly what he means by that at all.
You know what I mean, like energy thing.
Yeah.
Power, electrons, symbol, or atom. Let's see, some power companies have these logos with little atoms like that, like this one here.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit, I don't know. I'm not sure if that particular witness is, whoa, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be any more complicated ones, so I reckon it'd be something like this here. That they're talking about with electrons whizzing around. That's how I read what he just said. Symbols of electrons. So, do we play that one? Guess we probably can.
It'd be great if you could, because it's such a good witness testimony.
Is it a news report? Doesn't quite say. It looks like old footage, though, doesn't it? How many years copyright would they have? It just goes on forever, doesn't it? 240p. That's pretty bad quality too, you know.
Yeah. As long as you can hear it, okay. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be in high quality.
For a period of about 2 years, the whole country was affected by a wave of sightings.
Very quiet too,
They've been
isn't
seen
it?
by witnesses, the police, and by local radar stations. The Belgian army was forced to take the claim seriously. They allowed their F-16 fighter aircraft to be involved in trying to intercept these UFOs. They had the full backing of the chief of the Belgian Air Staff, Colonel de Breuer.
Initially, we thought that some of these observations were caused by atmospheric interference, such as weather conditions or electromagnetic interference. But later on, we found out that at certain moments, indeed, we could relate one visual observation with one observation on the radar. And of course, then we said, well, to have a confirmation, it may be very useful to have an additional observation from an aircraft.
He sounds almost German, doesn't he?
Well, he would do. It's on a border with them.
Yeah. And France.
The aircraft were deployed as part of a routine training program. Most times nothing was seen, except on one particular night.
The night of 30 and 34 March, we had an observation on the radar, and in addition, a visual observation on the ground confirmed by the police. We decided to send 2 airplanes in the air around midnight.
This video of the F-16's radar track of the object showed the performance of a vehicle of a totally unknown origin. The Air Force were at a complete loss to explain their findings. A press conference was called.
What these pilots detected was well outside the normal flying envelope of an airplane. Sometimes they had what we call lock-ons, which gave a parameters varying from speeds between 150 knots till 990 knots. An acceleration which occurred in a few seconds.
The Americans denied it was a secret spy plane, so could it have been the first official contact with an alien craft?
These speeds would be impossible to tolerate for a human being. That's a first point. The second point is the visual observations always describe a system, a machine, which hangs and hovers above the surface at quite a low altitude without making any noise. Now, with the current technology, that will be impossible.
So far, the Belgian authorities have refused to announce any official conclusion to subsequent investigations. Could it be the Aurora? Is it likely a UFO could have come from a faraway galaxy? After all, it took us 3 days just to get to the moon.
So I don't know where that was from.
16 fighter aircraft to be involved.
Sounds like a UK TV show or something, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't say where it's from.
Doesn't matter, the actual interview was real. It was the brewer, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. This is testimony.
Okay.
Although if you're going to skip through them like that, it's not really worth it, you know.
What do you mean? Are we done with that one?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
That's one we just played. I'm going down to the next one. What are you saying? Skip through it?
Yeah, but no, I mean the video. If you're going to speed it up and skip bits on it, it's not really worth it. You might as well do it by talking, you know.
I didn't skip through bits though. I just sped it up.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Paul. I've heard it before. Okay, just highlight the.
At the end, I just went back over it again. Is that what you mean?
Okay.
It was the same. It was the same video.
Okay.
So they got it.
Official reporting procedures. The sightings would continue on the Belgian airspace. By 21st of December, official reporting procedures were communicated to the public. First, they would report the sighting to the police. Once the police had confirmed it, a radar station would be notified. One that had the authority to launch standing by F-16 fighter jets to intercept. Although it wasn't public knowledge immediately, in July 1990 at a NATO press conference, it was revealed F-16 fighter jets had been launched on 30th of March of that year. Major General Wilfried de Brouwer would talk the considerable amount of press through the tapes of one of the F-16's flight. At one point the triangular craft was traveling at over 1,000 knots. Further to this, it showed the capability to go from 150 knots to 500 knots in a matter of seconds. Ultimately, the craft vanished at a breathtaking pace. One of the pilots that evening was Yves Mielbergs. Due to the other F-16's tapes malfunctioning, it could not be ruled out that Mielberg's tape was displaying some kind of magnetic malfunction. Mielbergs himself would state years later that he firmly believed there was something in the sky that night. He would further point to not only his confirmation tapes but witnesses on the ground and the control tower's own radar system.
Missed out a wee bit there, I guess.
Yeah, not much.
The sightings would continue in abundance into the late spring of 1991. Then, just as quickly as they began, they would cease. Before they did, however, an unsuspecting witness would capture a photograph that could prove to be one of the most important in UFO history. Before we look at that, the video below features a recent interview with de Brouwers. He also discusses the aforementioned photograph, which we will look at next.
Open minds.
Yeah.
I just wonder. That's the same guy we're looking at, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And his testimony is pretty much the same throughout all his interviews, anyway, Paul. So,
let's see.
It's okay.
11 minutes here at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's open minds. So, yeah, they've just got to update HD version of it. Let's see, we're going to probably read out a wee bit. Play back a wee bit faster.
The size of a jumbo jet, equipped with 3 very strong spotlights, a rotating, a pulsating red light in the middle.
But he didn't say they were orange this time, though, and red in the middle. And these are drawn with white lights, which is kind of strange.
We also talk about an object.
No two reports are exactly the same, are they? And that's only an artist illustration you're looking at there.
I'll just listen to what he's saying too.
The vertical
Well,
development.
yeah.
Those who could see it from the side saw a dome on the top of it. And in this dome there were windows, which were in the evening lit at the inside. The behavior was very special because it could hover without making any noise. Some witnesses saw it hovering in a vertical position, the nose up, the triangle up, and even turning on its vertical axis. The object had the capability to fly at very slow speeds, turn very quickly and in a tight turn, and also accelerate extremely fast. There were other reports mentioning a rectangular object, which was somewhat different. Some people described it as a big, like aircraft carrier type of object, turned upside down with a vertical development downwards, with a modular structure. That was totally different, and also the lights were different. But that seemed to be one, and in two cases, an object like that was observed as well.
So there's something different.
Yeah,
They weren't all triangles.
No, listen. This is now. If you've ever read David Marler's book, which I doubt you have, it was the only dedicated book. Paul, are you listening to me?
Yeah,
please?
Of course I am.
Okay. Yeah, it was the only dedicated book, which wasn't brought out until around 10 years ago, about triangular UFOs. He made several cases where triangular UFOs were accompanied by rectangular UFOs. So it's not really a laughing matter. It's something that's happened over and over again.
Yeah.
So what are they?
I was just laughing at you, not the actual information. But yeah, I've yet to see a rectangle UFO that isn't a banner plane. But
so funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Till one lands on your head, mate.
Yeah, well, I just haven't seen any video or photograph proof of a proper solid craft, you know. Side view. Most
Maybe
of them
I'll have an alien sitting on your knee.
Yes, but he talked about it had a load of tubes and things underneath, which is not what you get on a banner plane. So
no, that kind of sounds man-made, doesn't it? But we don't know.
Yeah,
need to be a little bit careful before we have these preconceived ideas of what an alien spacecraft should look like.
Let's see if there's any pictures out there that people are drawing. Now we're getting the same old triangle ones. So where's those big motherships that are rectangles? And you'd think we'd have some drawings at least, wouldn't you? What's this one? We're looking at square clouds. There's a drawing of something. I think we had that up on Open Minds before. So, what, I don't know, it's in French, is it? So we can't read what the writing says. Don't think. So it looks to me like it's like got a row of windows at the front there. So there's your three lights in triangle pattern with a red one in the middle.
Yeah.
You can see here they've drawn it to a round front end. So it's not really a triangle as such.
No, it's not. It's generally that shape.
Yes, but we're trying to find the rectangle, really one that's drawn a rectangle one. Which is strange that we can't get anything on a search. Because he's talking about it. What's this one here? Because that's from Michael Schratt, isn't it? I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be one of his drawings. Talking about the tubes underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Belgium triangle. Has it got his name on it anywhere? Can't quite see. Oh, here you go. What's that say down there? Can't quite see it. It's a bit out of focus.
No, it's not. It's not Michael Schratt anyway. Drawn by.
You can actually read it, can you?
So, yeah, it's Michael Schratt.
Yeah, I thought it would be. I think
Yeah,
we saw that Dolan show. So yeah, do we believe anything he draws? I don't know.
Not after the J-Rod thing. No, I don't think you can.
What's this one here? Looks like a Klingon cruiser. That one.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, still nothing come up with rectangle, which is kind of strange. So have to move on, I guess. So you don't want to play any more of that one?
No. Unless you can play it all, there's no point, Paul.
Well, we can't really do that. We might
No,
get in
exactly.
trouble.
Yeah, that's why I try to exclude them altogether now.
I'm just skimming through the thumbnails here to see if there's any pictures. But I think I'm just repeating the same ones.
Exactly.
And talking about books, who wrote those ones? The government?
Some Belgian guy. I don't think we're going to understand that.
No. There you go. We can read out the rest of it here.
The Petty Chain photograph the evening of 4th of April, 1991 may prove to be one of quiet importance to UFO researchers, and indeed anyone who seeks the truth to such phenomena. That evening, while walking her dog, a young woman noticed one of the strange triangles overhead. She quickly returned home, informing her boyfriend, who grabbed his camera and headed outside. There were only 2 shots left on the film. He steadied himself against the wall of his home to stop his arm from shaking and pressed the button down twice. Upon their eventual development, one of them was blank. One of them, however, was crystal clear.
So, this could still be those stealth blimps that I talked about in a few live streams
what
back
you need
now.
to focus on now is that petite machine photograph, which is not a name, by the way. It's the region where it was allegedly taken.
Yeah, but you got stealth blimps that can be 5 stories thick and can be square as well as rectangles. So stealth blimps of, well, the drawings, some blueprints for the stealth blimps go back into an old book that I found online back in the 40s, I think, and it definitely looked similar to the designs that I had found. Here we go. So these are actually modern day blimps now. Look at how, see how I'm talking about that shape that we were looking at before, the round front.
Yeah, that one shape. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a modern.
Explain them all, does it?
That's a modern blimp now. That one looks like a Thunderbird, but these are modern ones and hangers.
I still fail to see what they're doing flying them over Belgium.
Here's a picture of an old drawing. I can't remember what year that was. Aurora stealth blimp. High altitude.
So the Belgian has got in touch with the USA about this, and they asked them if they had anything flying over their airspace, and they unequivocally said no.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that no other country's doing it though. Germany,
no, it doesn't,
Russia.
No, it doesn't mean to say it's not some black budget project or.
Look at this one here.
Shadow government project.
The official Strata 3D. Strata CAF. They're going to be flying people around the sky on these big blimps in the future. That would be quite interesting. Let's just have a quick look at that one there. What's it saying? Lockheed stealth blimp. There you go. So obviously there's some blueprints. See, I don't know why they don't do that now. I know they got off airships because of hydrogen, but now we're using like helium, which is inert gas that doesn't explode, right? And that's all we got on there. And what's it say? Note, this model was made up of a skinned ribs polygon mesh, converted and subdivided. So you could see Google and Amazon wanted to do something like this. Have floating ships out to sea, right? You got these big ships that float out to sea that you can buy, actually have an apartment on it. I'm not sure if you've seen those ones, mega cruise ships. Mega cruise ships, apartments. Let's see what comes up. Luxury, here we go. And they sell for quite a lot of money. I wonder if we get some pictures of it.
What do you do?
Talking about those mega cruise ships that they're building now, where you can buy apartments and just be out on sea all the time, like these big super crazy boats where people can buy like a apartment for like $500,000 or a penthouse on the top, $1 million, and the ship just goes around in circles, so their view's always changing. It's like the ultimate billionaire luxury type thing, you know. But they're talking about also making ones that are like go under sea. I don't know if it's happening yet, but you can see they're building these mega cruise ships, which if you type of undersea apartments, we're thinking about doing it.
How does this relate to Belgium?
I was just, while you were away, I was just showing people about Blimps. So these are the undersea apartments that you can currently get. Like that one there, looks like a box, floats on the sea. But there are other ones
Very
too.
interesting, Paul.
Yeah. So it could be where the future is, you see. Undersea cities, right? I just wonder if we'll get more UFO sightings. Look at this one. It looks like a luxury thing. It's shaped like a UFO too. Certainly be outside the storm.
Excellent.
You wouldn't have to worry about cyclone. You could have an undersea football stadium, right? We currently got Japan's under a big storm at the moment. Here we go. Here's a picture of one. And it could go float to the surface and then go under the water. They're even looking at sphere one here, look. Quite interesting stuff anyway. But I was actually looking at this thing here. This is actually Lockheed Martin. You're away. Blimp, stealth blimp they call it.
It's only gone 30 seconds, Paul. You went on a cruise.
So they were looking at this thing here. Anyway, I was talking about stealth blimps. But you can actually get ones that look like...
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's all related, because it makes sense that maybe one of them had trouble and come down, right, into the airspace. And they try to get it back up. Now look at this crazy one. These are actually
moving swiftly on.
DARPA.
We've just lost another couple of viewers, by the way.
Well, it's up to them if they're interested in UFO topic. So where did we get to? Did we read out the last bit?
Yeah.
The picture clearly shows the triangular craft complete with the orange/brown lights on each corner and the red light in the middle. The shot would undergo intense investigation, and after a year of scrutiny was declared genuine and with no evidence of tampering. Furthermore, The out-of-focus edges around the lights would suggest movement of the object. Continued analysis would suggest magnetic interference, which in turn suggested advanced propulsion. Given the reports of how silently the craft moved, theories of some kind of advanced magnetic propulsion system would develop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How much have we got selected there? I think that's the last article, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Officially still unsolved. So just what was witnessed by the thousands of individuals during the surge of sightings over Belgium? That something was enjoying access to Belgian airspace is beyond doubt. Literally scores of pieces of video footage and photographs albeit inconclusive exist of these crafts. A simple search on YouTube, for example, will return many amateur recordings from the era. Had they arrived here from another world? Perhaps another dimension? The technology on display would certainly suggest it is far advanced to anything currently produced on Earth. And despite assertions from skeptics that weather balloons were likely responsible,
Blimps.
the wealth of first-hand testimonies on how these crafts move suggest otherwise. Or might these crafts and the wave of sightings have been tests of top-secret vehicles by shadow governments? Although it is not out of the question, it would raise the question of why such prolonged testing would take place over a, relatively, highly populated area. Sightings of such definite triangular UFOs were largely unknown before the famous sightings over Belgium. This further suggests that they were authentic. The exact details submitted by the numerous witnesses were too precise in their difference to have been pulled from the cultural collective notion of a UFO, which would have likely been more along the lines of a flying saucer. The wave over the skies of Belgium in late 1989 and into the early 90s is certainly a unique moment in history. Whether we see another similar episode only time will tell. The video below looks at the Belgian wave in a little more detail.
Don't know where that one's from, though.
Yeah, okay. Can you scroll back right to the top of the page now, Paul? Okay, thanks. Right, okay, you see the picture there, right at the top there, and the UFO in sight. Yeah, that's the petite. What's it called again? The petite Richan photograph. Now, this was considered to be genuine after going through. Even NASA apparently said it was genuine. But then, 21 years after the incident, some guy came forward to a little-known French online newspaper and claimed that he'd hoaxed it. And he said he'd used polystyrene and a couple of light bulbs, and he had it hanging from something, and he'd taken that photograph. So I think we need to look into that a little more, because if it's not the case, then it's a very interesting photograph and it's worth a further look.
Did you have some links here? I
Yeah,
just
I
found
do.
this one. UFO
Because
hoax,
I think,
or hoax itself.
I think
So they're
it's a
saying
hoax in itself.
hoax itself. You probably got the same one I have you? I'll just
I
search.
have.
You searched this link, did you?
I did.
Is there a picture of the guy that said it was a hoax? Is that the
No,
same
there
one?
is no picture of it. This is the thing. There is no picture of him. We don't even know his name.
Yeah, it talks about NASA here. 7 months after our UFO casebook, which is what you've got here, I think. So this was like a follow-up after.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one.
This is a
So you've
follow-up
got it.
from this article, though.
Yeah, I mean, because someone comes forward 21 years later suggesting
That it's
I
a
hoaxed
model.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Can we trust him? Can we trust him? We don't even know who he is. There's no pictures of him. He's not come forward on film.
It's that same page. So
I mean, there'd be many reasons why certain people would want it to be a hoax, so it'd be easy to make an anonymous phone call and say, I done it.
Yeah, true.
And then a newspaper gets it. I mean, this article says it better than I ever could.
It's definitely got motion blur there.
Yeah.
It's spinning around this direction.
Yeah.
Which could happen if it's suspended on a bit of fishing line. And it's swinging around on a pendulum, right? That's why I hate photographs. I'd rather see a video of it as well. You know, I normally try and do both at the same time.
It could well be a hoax, Paul. We can't rule out that it might not be either.
Well, I don't know. There was some other pages here. No UFOs. Picture ready. Above top secret. Normally have some good discussion on them. I might have to go to the toilet soon myself. Interesting reading about the photograph was allegedly faked from the Wikipedia, and to this day it remains so. I wonder if this is a simple old wiki info. Well, below is the quote, there is a picture and no other pictures on the Wikipedia. So what is he talking about? So that's a different one, isn't it, to what we were looking at before? So what's that one there? When I googled that article image, these are the images it shows. So this could be like an artist rendering even.
I think it is. Yeah, that's too good.
Who said the name was once confessed to be a hoax? Patrick M. Patrick? That wasn't the guy that we read out before, was it?
Yeah.
Peter. Does that mean Patrick?
No. Yeah, I have mentioned this. The petite ratio is a place name, Paul.
Ah, right.
It's not the name of the actual person who took the photo.
Right. When I hear anyone claiming the picture was fake, I always see the petite, it's spelled differently, Ritchian photograph, even though one supposedly hasn't been debunked yet. This is from Isaac about the subject. The main picture of the Belgian UFO wave is the Petit Richan picture. For 20 years, the ufological organization Secret Belgium, whatever that is, claimed that this picture was genuine, and to this day it remains so. The other picture was the one hoaxed. What am I missing? So I'm a bit
it's quite clear.
Is it? I'm not sure. Are they talking about this one's a genuine one?
Cast in doubt on the newspaper and the whole thing about the hoax. You see what I mean? That it's quite simple. It's really simple. I mean, look, there's a guy in Holyhead, right? We've had 4 murders in I don't know, 5 to 7 years. We've had 4 murders, and we get the same guy coming forward every time.
Oh.
He's a bit simple, but he wants to be the guy. Now, why anyone would do that, I really don't know. Yeah. So this guy could be a complete nutcase and said, after 21 years, that was my photograph that I hoaxed.
Unless he can show the model, but I think wasn't there some excuse that he?
Absolutely, yeah. If he could show the model, thank you, Paul. That was a damn good point. If he could show the model and how he'd done it, then we could all say, okay, we can put it down as a hoax. But as it stands now, we can't, can we?
I don't know.
We can't trust this newspaper who came out with the story.
Can we
But it
trust?
was a hoax.
Can we trust any newspaper anymore?
No,
not
not
since
at all.
2016, at least. Anyway, you certainly can't trust the UK rags. So yes, if he had the model and showed how it was done.
Yeah. And showed his face.
Please add thoughts to the thread already talking about this being debunked. Okay, looks like there's another link here. And that's got 4 pages. So that's got that one there. So what you can do now, though, is you get these kites that actually do have the lights like that with a red one in the middle. Chinese sell them.
Yeah, we're not talking about kites now, are we?
Yeah.
It's obviously more to this than kites.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the recent sightings that were debunked over the years have been these Chinese kites, night kites.
Oh, yeah, they're very deceptive. There's no question of that. And they could account for a lot of UFO reports over the years. But I don't think that these mass sightings over Hudson Valley and Belgium are anything to do with kites.
Well, not
craft.
back in 1990, no. But I'm saying the current ones, a lot of them are these lead kites. So what are they saying here? Anything useful there at all? I think that might be from the wiki page, is it? Translated through Google. Okay, so it might be worth reading that one out.
The mystery of the famous UFO 90 years elucidated, a hoax. The photo had been around the world and was analyzed by the most eminent specialists. None had solved the mystery of the UFO, and breakfast chain became the emblem of the Belgian UFO wave of the 90s. 18 years later, the author unveils the cliché. The end of 1989 and the 90s were marked by a mysterious UFO flap in Belgium. Appearances never understood. Emblem of the phenomenon, a picture of a triangular UFO with 3 lights, one in each corner, taken April 4, 1990 in Petit Richain, near Verviers, by a Patrick, a young turner fitter of 20 years. The slide will travel around the world, will be discussed by leading experts and up to the Belgian Royal Military Academy.
So the guy was Patrick. So that's confirmed it there.
No, his name was never Patrick. He called himself Patrick.
That's not how that reads there, though. Photograph, not there. So what's the rest?
Know who he is.
What's the rest of this article saying, though? That they've got?
I just hand in the photograph and call myself anything, right. Paul.
Oh, that's from the Wikipedia on Belgium Wave. I suppose we don't want that. And what's this one saying here? Talking about pilots locking onto it. Yeah. A UFO, every single video photograph is called a hoax, whether it's real or fake. What are they talking about? Don't know where that's sort of taken out of context here, I think. It did say a skeptic reproduced with a computer program, but that certainly wasn't around in 1990. I wonder if there is a video somewhere of him recreating what he did. Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Sure wish I was multilingual, sounds like he explains in the news clip. So there must have been a news clip here of him talking about the hoax, is it? Haven't seen, as I've said many times, a triangle load, slow and silent. I can live with this revelation, true or not. I mean, if the US Air Force can continually tell us for half a century that UFOs don't exist and cover up their parachute dummies, bogus study, secret SR-21s, U-2s. So what's this guy talking about? So the photograph is a hoax. What about the rest of the affair? The personal sightings, radar returns. Yeah, that doesn't sort of impact the case, even if it's a fake photograph.
No, it doesn't. But we don't know for sure it is a fake photograph. That was my whole point on that, Paul.
Yes, I know. So even if it's a model on a piece of fishing line that's been snapped, of course it's going to be like a real photograph, right? So it's going to be very hard for them to put it into computer forensic software to say it's hoax photograph, like Photoshop, because I think Photoshop was around back in the 90s. Actually, that's a good question. Let's see, what year was Photoshop? Photoshop software. Year made. 1987. 3 years before the Wave, 98. There you go. So Adobe bought it up. So it's possible. So what's this here? If he hoaxed it, it'll be interesting to see how it was done. He's a really awful paint job, but hopefully shows how he might have done it using the object and reflection. Right, he's saying this in the image here could be a reflection. Here's the original image again. I think he's just talking about this coloration here. But I think that's just a cloud in the sky here, right? Have we got a picture of it here? Very dark, isn't it? So what else we got here? It was never bunked. The guy says it worked. It worked back, and then because they were in the middle of that UFO wave, he also says it probably wouldn't work today. Not sure what it means there. Such pictures that are 20 years ago. So was there any other things you want to talk about? Was it on that?
No. The point was made quite a long time ago, and I've got more to move on to here.
No, post away. I think no one can actually say one way or the other on that photograph. It's just a bad photograph. Unless you had multiple photographs, then you probably could work out something, right? So, what have we got here? Is that still the same one? What else we got here? Did you post a new link?
Yes, I did, Paul.
Looks similar to what we already looked at, though. Yeah. Let's see if it comes up right. It's the same one, isn't it? Hang on, no, it's not. Same website, different article. The Cosford incident, British UFO mystery. So, you want
very close proximity to Belgium.
I might have to go to the toilet while it reads out. So I'll just
highlighted the picture there as well, by the way.
I think it will get past that.
I'd rather read it out myself, Paul.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be here to scroll it.
Okay, true.
Although I won't be gone that long. See how it goes anyway. I'll be back in a minute.
Not only did more than 100 people witness the Cosford incident over the skies of Somerset in the south of England in March 1993, many of them were military personnel and police officers, lending the sighting even more credence than it already has. Spread across 2 nights, the sightings are some of the most credible on record and were documented extensively by one of the UK's leading UFO researchers, Nick Pope. Further to this, Pope was active in his role with the Ministry of Defence investigating such sightings, and so has first-hand insight into the events. Not only are the sightings some of the most credible, the 2-day incident is arguably one of the most detailed due to the sheer number of different witness reports. Given that many people wouldn't report seeing a UFO for fear of ridicule or disbelief. In the words of Pope, we can only guess at the number of sightings that went unreported that night. Contents March 30th, 1993. Southwest England the next evening - more sightings and laser beams satellite interest and triangular lights black budget projects. March 30th, 1993, Southwest England a little past 8:30 p.m. on 30th of March, 1993, sightings of a large unknown object began to reach Somerset police. The first detailed report came from an off-duty police officer. He and a group of local scouts were out in the Quantock Hills when they all saw the mammoth object overhead. The officer would describe it as, like 2 Concords flying side by side and joined together. Reports would continue throughout the evening. All similar in description, and for the vast majority, all from sound and stable witnesses. Furthermore, from the reports and their locations, a timeline of events slowly built up. An entire family in Rudgeley in Staffordshire would report they witnessed the craft in front of them extremely low to the ground. It appeared to be around 200 meters across, and after following it for several minutes believed it had landed in a field, near to the road. By the time they had tracked down the suspected location, the object was nowhere to be seen. One bizarre report would come courtesy of UFO researcher, Doug Cooper. He had spoken with a farmer whose cattle were unnerved shortly after midnight on the first evening. By the time the witness had made his way to the field where his cattle were, to his amazement, the entire herd stood in a circle completely silent.
Yeah, my CPU fan's going crazy. So how far did he get down?
So once again, you have that Oz effect, where the cattle were first disturbed and then we're like transfixed. I think Jenny Vandals actually first used that phrase Oz effect, or that term Oz effect, is when everything seems to stand still and the witness is almost the focal point of the sighting, which is quite interesting as it's happened so many times throughout UFO sightings.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a surreal feeling.
Well,
some experience.
I didn't actually hear it. I didn't hear it, so I can't comment on it. I didn't actually hear the case.
Okay.
But that's all right.
Yeah, let's just carry on with the text, Paul.
Is it all part of the same case, or is it different stories?
Yeah, it's all part of the same case.
Yeah.
Next evening - more sightings and laser beams the following evening was just as active, if not more so. Sightings again began to hit police switchboards in much of the south of England and as far as the West Midlands. This evening, however, many police officers were alert and on location. Both RAF Shalwellbury and RAF Cosford would witness sightings over their bases. An object with 2 white lights and a faint red glow zipped over RAF Cosford at great velocity. As well as the official report from the base, there were numerous sightings from civilians in the area. The sighting at RAF Shalwellbury was even more dramatic. The meteorological officer at the base would report seeing the strange craft approach the base with slow control. Moving around 30 miles per hour, a strange laser-like beam emerged from its underside towards the ground below. It would sweep from side to side as if looking for something. An unpleasant rumbling began, which the officer could feel as well as hear. Then suddenly, the light went out and the craft shot away at breathtaking speed. The officer in question wished to remain anonymous. He did, however, state to Pope the encounter was unlike anything he had ever seen.
Yeah. And a very good caliber witness.
Uh-huh. You get a lot of these beams from UFOs, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are the beams doing? That's the question. Is it taking samples? Who knows? Seems a bit strange that other countries have a beam come down, because it shows up their position then, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it happens all over the world, and we don't know if it's a beam of light or it could be a beam of anything. We don't understand that, do we? It's not for us to we can try and work it out, but
it's probably negative light. You know how you got symmetry and particles.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like that.
I mean, why do we have such an interest in water?
Who do? UFOs?
Yeah.
We have interest in nuclear power plants and nuclear weapons, and
yeah,
seem to go into
also lakes, especially lakes,
and seem to go into the lakes as well.
Yeah, and go into the lakes as well. Yes. What's the agenda? Just for us to guess, I suppose.
Well, I suppose if you're underwater, and most of the planet's water, it's a safe place to be, isn't it? So, I don't know. Because I know that we can't go down too far. Not without, like, really, really special submarines that are shaped like spheres, right? James Cameron has one.
I mean, some of these things, according to sonar, are being reported going at like several hundred knots, which is impossible for us.
Not impossible, but for a torpedo it can. Even though the torpedoes can't go that fast, so who knows?
A point noted at the time by Pope was despite the obvious presence of something over the bases, neither could pick anything up on radar. This was of considerable defense significance, and in terms of the MOD, required immediate investigation. Interestingly or not, a high-ranking MOD official would state in the official report that there would seem to be evidence on this occasion that an unidentified object, or objects, of an unknown origin was operating over the UK. Before we look at some of the aftermath of the sightings, check out the video below. It looks at the Cosford incident in a little more detail.
Ooh, that guy.
Yeah, we can't play this, so
no.
You know, just move on.
That was definitely off some documentary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than the news channel. So we can't get copyright.
Satellite interest and triangular light skeptics would argue that what people were seeing was the re-entry of the Russian satellite Cosmos 2238. While that could account for some of the sightings shortly after midnight on the second evening, it doesn't explain the events of the 30th of March. It certainly doesn't explain the report from the family who claimed to see the object landing a field.
Look, here's Jenny Randall's here. An interesting point by expected you followed Jenny Randall's is that many re-entries result in sightings and reports of UFOs. It is, she claims, as if this is something of interest for them or whoever guides them. Many of the Cosford sightings would state that the craft had a triangular shape to them. More specifically, the orange lights on the underside gave this impression. Coincidentally or not, exactly 3 years earlier, almost identically shaped crafts were spotted over the skies of Belgium. It was the latest in a wave of sightings that hundreds of people witnessed. Indeed, the world's press descended upon the nation. Even the authorities themselves would issue statements and advice on how to make reports of sightings. The particular sighting of this wave would be tracked by military radar. This would result in dispatching of F-16 fighters in an attempt to intercept the object. The Belgium Wave, as it is known, actually began in November 1989, almost 6 months before the attempted interception, where these objects over England in 1993, the same that had befuddled residents of Belgium 3 years previously. So, yeah, I mean, there's a correlation here, isn't there?
Black budget projects. Okay.
Black budget projects. Given the response of the MOD, it is clear the Cosford sightings were out of the ordinary, even for UFO incidents. As Nick Pope would state, the summary by his one-time employers was about as close as the MOD will ever get to saying that there's more to UFOs than misidentification or hoaxes. Many people suggest that the sightings were not extraterrestrial, but top-secret, black-budget programs. Incidentally, many suggest likewise for the aforementioned Belgium Wave. What is interesting regarding the descriptions of triangular crafts at both sightings is a recently discovered patent from 2004. According to the story, the patent, if it is genuine, is for the TR-3B, triangular spacecraft, a spacecraft having a triangular hull, with vertical electrostatic line charges on each corner that produce a horizontal electric field parallel to the sides of the hull. This field, interacting with a plane wave emitted by antennas on the side of the hull, generates a force per volume combining both lift and propulsion.
Yeah, I think this TR-3B business is like a disinformation, really.
Well, I'll tell you something now. The TR-3B, it was a patent that was leaked. So it's a leaked document. So can you really trust any leaked document like the MJ12 papers or the Wilson leak, if you like? You can't trust any of them, can we?
No.
And if you look at Michael Schratt, okay, he's a nice fella, and he's an aviation historian, and he knows a lot more than me about aviation and its history. But we have to look at his own background of gullibility, unfortunately. We know that he got sucked in by that guy with the J-Rod stuff, where the guy was an alien grey, was, oh dear, a colonel in the army. Yes, an alien grey was a colonel in the army. So
there was a lot of
I
photographs
don't
of
think
that.
we can take that, and there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever of the TR-3B being a realistic aircraft. There was one particular case where a guy who happened to be previously an employee of British Aerospace, and he actually seen a black triangle. It was off on the North Sea, it was above Scotland, and he was looking up and he seen a perfectly clear black triangle, but it was surrounded by two jets, and it was clearly refueling. So if we do have black triangles, it seems, going by on his statement, they're running on fossil fuels. It does not explain these sightings.
So this is the only picture of J-Rod.
I'm highly skeptical that we have that kind of technology. Yeah, there we go.
So to me, that looks like it's going to be a Photoshop job with an actual pilot with a helmet there that someone's overlaid some black art.
Come on, who's going to believe that? But it's pathetic, isn't it?
Now it's not actually in a.
I mean, look at the like Colonel J-Rod on the side of it. My God, come on.
What is it? Is it a plane or is it just like a? I suppose it would be a fighter jet, wouldn't it?
It's the cockpit of a jet fighter, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's been squashed a bit though.
So you've got aliens flying our planes. Come on.
Go. That one. That one's the same. It's all the
and
same.
you've even got like the symbol of the triangle, which is so similar
Yeah.
Yeah, we know where. Lonnie Zamora.
No.
Someone is taking a mic.
Yeah, they've got it upside down though. The Socorro case was the other way around.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, the line was actually more in the middle of the triangle too, I think. What was J-Rod stand for? I remember it had they called it after something.
God.
I think they called it after something. I can't remember. But I think that's the only picture we've got. And I tried to see if I could find any fighter jet picture where it could have been modified, because often you get the ones with the Nazi leader, which we're not allowed to say his name, starting with H. We call him Hitler. You see he's shaking hands with aliens and whatnot. That you can always find the original photograph that's been photoshopped. But that's the only one of J-Rod. I'm not even sure who this guy is. That keeps coming up. He's an actor, is he? Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, actually, it is more of the picture of the plane down here. I just saw it as I scrolled back up. Where's it disappeared to?
You just had a little message here.
Yeah.
J-Rod doesn't deserve the time. Move on.
Oh, here we go. More of the thing here.
Yeah, we got the message. It's phony.
These guys are no fun. Okay. So, on with the rest of it here, was it? Thought we may have read out most of that. TR3B.
Yeah, I think we have.
And UFO, I don't know. Let's just read it.
The Cosford Incident - the British UFO Mystery. First published March 9th. 2018, last updated March 19th.
Silly thing.
March 19th. 2019, written by Marcus Law with estimated reading time 4 minutes, posted in office. Not only did more than 100 people witness the Cosford incident,
I told it to read out more there and it should have been doing it.
According to the story, the patent, if it is genuine, is for the TR-3B, triangular spacecraft, a spacecraft having a triangular hull, with vertical electrostatic line charges on each corner that produce a horizontal electric field parallel to the sides of the hull. This field, interacting with a plane wave emitted by antennas on the side of the hull, generates a force per volume combining both lift and propulsion. Incidentally, the MOD did inquire with.
So we did read out all that. But if you have a look at the design of the triangle thing, like if you have a look at ceramic super levitation and magnets, levitation, not sure if I typed that right. You can always see that it's like a disc that they spin around and it levitates. Quantum levitation, how they work, BBC 4. I wonder if we got some pictures. So if you can imagine.
Okay, Paul, that's enough for that. Yeah, we don't need to look at this stuff now.
Yeah, but if you can imagine this thing is spinning around inside one of the triangle ships, right? So if you can imagine a triangle around the circle that's spinning, and it's being super cooled inside the TR-3B or triangle ship, it's going to create a massive magnetic field. Whether that can be used as levitation for anti-gravity, I don't know. But you can see here it can lift up its own weight. So that makes it possible that you could have the corners with the engines for the lift control. While the spinning disc is spinning, it's making it lighter. Causes anything connected to it to be lighter by 90% or whatever it is. Then you could have the dome on the top for where the cabin is. But I'm just wondering how bad that would be for humans if that's the case, right?
I don't think that would be very good for humans at all if you were in at close proximity. And a lot of people have got very ill, from being in close contact with these
So if
things.
you can imagine here, around the triangle here, that's where the spinning, they said it originally was spinning Mercury. But I don't think so. Unless it stays in liquid form, because if they super cool Mercury, it's going to go hard, right? But if you have two ceramic discs spinning in opposite directions, they create lift. But I'm not sure how bad that would be for humans, unless you have some sort of shielding around the thing where the on top in the dome thing. They talked about being on the dome on top. So, was there anything else you want to post, read out here? On another link?
Yeah, there is. I'm not sure what that. I don't know if you're aware, but
the alien narration that was watching can't hear it. What narration are we talking about? Oh, AI. No, we didn't talk over it. I think Robert made a comment somewhere. But we didn't talk over it while it was reading out.
Yeah, it could be.
He's mean when I accidentally selected it all and it was reading out the same stuff we already covered and we were talking over it. I think that's what he means there, but that's alright.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I tried to stop it reading out. That's how to use the icon up here. Because I wasn't sure if I missed something. But yeah, was there another link that you want to finish up on here?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And this is Ben's triangle sighting, who's given me permission. Okay.
Yeah, I've already covered Finn's. I've already covered Finn's one on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think Dal might love to see it again, and maybe so would others.
All right. Could be.
Because we're on the same thing now, aren't we? Finn's not aware that you've covered it,
Yeah, he does.
No, he didn't say that to me, but anyway, he's given us permission to play it.
It's one of these stupid things where it changes the front. Hang on, let me get rid of that. YouTube trying to be too clever. It goes on a bit though, 30 minutes.
Okay,
yeah, we don't have to play it all.
Down the street near my house.
It's pretty quiet, so.
The weather is pretty much exactly the same as it was on the night when I had the sighting.
Yeah, you can move that forward.
Yeah.
About half a mile away from where it happened, 3/4 of a mile. So I'm just going to walk down to the dual carriageway.
There we go.
And then I shall carry on recording. Right, I'm now standing on the Y Bridge, looking up the river. Let's see the direction of the river comes down here, goes under the bridge.
The volume's alright.
Carries on parallel to the dual carriageway. Everything looks a lot darker on the screen here than it does to the naked eye.
Yeah, up to 300%.
But you get the general idea. That ahead of me there, the big building, is the boys' school. Nice bit of lens flare. God knows who that is. Probably somebody who wants to be famous, thinks they're going to be on YouTube. Anyway, so I'm on the Y Bridge. Just going to walk to the end of this
you can move it on,
path here and stop where that of light, where I looked directly across at them, and I'll get a couple of photos and make another quick video clip.
So the UFOs appeared up here.
Where that truck is now, just going through the green lights, that's where I was stood during the last clip, right next to the traffic lights. So I was coming down here, and you go past a big patch of trees which block off your line of sight through to the boys' school, and now you can see the headmaster's house as the trees that were blocking your sight are out of the way now. You've got the headmaster's house here, we've got one of the boarding houses, and here we've got what used to be the squash courts and the swimming pool. So it's as I got to this point, I started to get a really good look at the balls of light which were hovering. If you look at these lights on the right hand side of the road, go about 3 lights down, so I'll try and get the lens flare. Not this light, but about kind of above those lights, but over to the right. So kind of there. Wow, this lens flare is kind of handy. Kind of there is where these 2 balls of light were hovering. So I'll now walk up to
Can't see lens flare.
this green road sign, which is pretty much parallel to where I was when I was looking directly across at them, and probably my closest proximity to them. So I'm now just by the green sign, and having walked this route now, it's the first time I've actually re-walked it. I've driven down here many a time. I mean, every day I would drive down here several times a day when I was driving the taxis. But when I'm walking down it, I realised I wasn't quite as far as the green sign, because I was looking through a kind of dip in the trees, and I'll try and outline the tops of the trees here, because you may not be able to see them on film, but they're about here, level with the street lights. But just here, where I'm standing now, they kind of dip down. Try and do that again. So they dip down and up and down and up, and they're kind of lower at this part. And it is here where I was looking directly across. So I am 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes away. And then there are trees directly by the roadside. And then I estimate about 20 metres behind those trees and above them were the 2 balls of light. So I put my finger out. The treetops are around here. The balls of light were just here and about 20 metres away and about this big, so actually possibly a little larger than a basketball. And the one of them, they were both incredibly bright. They were slightly brighter than the street lights, same sort of colour. And the lower one had a large spike extending out of its right hand side like this, and it was extending in length, and they were both fizzing intensely. So my immediate reaction was, I don't want to pull over on the road, partly because I'm on a motorway and I don't want someone to come up and smash into my back end, although at the time the road was quiet, there were no other cars on the road, apart from one guy who, as we pulled off from the traffic lights, he was coming up behind me. So I'm coming down here. I started to slow down because I saw these orbs, and I started to indicate left, and I slowed down a lot because I was just trying to get a look at these things. As I drove past them, I'm looking out the window, and he started to flash me, and then he overtook me. I think he was thinking I was just a really bad driver. I don't think he saw the lights. He didn't slow down. He was just trying to overtake me and get past me. I think he thought, this guy's an idiot. So he flashed me. I think he beeped as well. I can't remember exactly. I think he beeped, but I just remember thinking, I don't really care about this guy. I just don't want him to crash into my back end, so I'm indicating. And I don't really care about whether he thinks I'm an idiot or not, because I want to get out of the car and have a look at these orbs. So we're by the sign now. I knew, because I know this stretch of road like the back of my hand, it runs parallel to the town centre, the street that runs down the town centre. I knew that I wanted to pull over, and the safest place to pull over was in the slip road, which is where that car is right now.
So we can't get that to read out. So, when previously describing this event to people, I had estimated that the time it took to drive that stretch of road, pull over the car and get out was approximately 10 to 15 seconds. That's 10 to 15 seconds during which time I was not looking at the orbs. Decided to test out the accuracy of this time estimation when filming these clips. The test follows. Okay. Yeah, it's a long pause there.
and he was going not too fast. He was going about 40.
Okay.
40, maybe 50 miles an hour, and I was slowing down, so I was going a bit slower than that. But he took about 10 seconds to get from where I was directly opposite the Orbs to the slip road where I pulled over. So my rough estimation of about 15 seconds between seeing the Orbs and driving away and pulling over, I think is about right. About 10 to 15 seconds, probably closer.
Let's just go on a
Probably
wee
closer
bit
to
there.
15 seconds.
Yeah, we can
I'll
skip
walk
bits.
down.
He recommended that we skip some bits.
Yeah, he just go to his. He's got some other bits here where he goes and does it on computer, I think.
Yeah, but you need to listen to what he actually seen while he was there as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sure
Or
where
we
that
could
is.
go to that, yeah.
But he talks about the orbs that turn into. Does it say the orbs transform, or does it say the TR3Bs come out of the
Well,
orbs?
he said similar things, yeah, to what other people have said in the Belgium case, and also the Hudson Valley case, that it was like liquid metal or liquid water, where it was like drifting in and out, like it was cloaking and uncloaking.
Yeah.
And it's a very valid point.
Okay, well, I think this is where he talks about the TR3Bs.
There they were, and they were already jutting out in front of the street lights. They were quite large. Let's see if I can get some lens flare to help me out with this.
So I wasn't sure if they come out of the lights. One of the parallel were orbs. Let's see.
Looking across, or when I was driving past them at the time, looking directly across the road at the Orbs, which were hovering above trees set back from the street lights on the road. And the triangles were in exactly the same place. So let me get this. Oh, look at that, that's handy. Kind of there. There they were, and they were already jutting out in front of the street lights. They were quite large. Let's see if I can get some lens flare to help me out with this. Not really. Bear in mind, the road was silent. There were no other cars on the road. I was totally alone, stood in the middle of the road, staring over towards these black triangles, which, and I shall take some still photos of this and try and give you a better idea of the brightness, because it's, as you can see, it's quite well lit, even on camera here where things look darker than they are. But basically halfway between where I am now and the traffic lights, and I've worked it out on Google Earth, 250 meters away, with these two large black triangles, and they were literally about 5 meters, maybe 6 or 7 meters above the street lights. Incredibly low, lit up by the street lights and the ambient light. So I got a good estimation of the rough size of them, because I'm stood parallel, roughly, to the petrol station at the bottom end of Monmouth, which I know very well. It's the only petrol station in Monmouth these days. And it has a roof above it. It's a 12-pump petrol station, so 12 cars can easily sit underneath the roof. Each triangle was about the size of the roof of that petrol station. So I was in a really nice position to be able to estimate the size of these triangles. And once these cars go past, I'll walk into the middle of the road and try and get a better shot of the of that stretch of road. Don't want to get run over just for the sake of a UFO sighting. That wouldn't be. I don't think that was the point. Whatever it was, don't think it was so that I could come here a few years later and get run over. So parked at the taxi, got out, turned around, and that's when I'm saying, what the hell is that? As these two black triangles go. Now, they weren't perfectly black. They were kind of like a very dark grey, because I could see them being lit up by the streetlights underneath. They were not like, if you look on YouTube and you look at the stealth bomber flying over people at air shows, you can see it is pitch black. It's even in daylight. It absorbs absolutely all light. You don't see any reflections coming off the bottom of it. You just see this black slate. absolutely perfectly black, absorbing all light. This was not like that. These things were slightly lit up by the ambient street light. I could see the surface of them.
So now he goes to, has it settled down? Yeah, now he goes to his computer. Yeah, I'm not too sure now whether he talked about the triangles coming out of the orbs of light or the orbs of light transformed into triangles now. Do you know?
Yeah, we could just move it on a couple of minutes and let him do his stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he explains it or not.
So as I walk back towards the wide bridge, away from the place where it all comes to the end, because might as well make this the definitive version of the telling of the story, so that I could just send people to one link rather than having to send them to several different links. Because originally, when I did make some Photoshop recreations of this, they were done using Google Earth Street View images, which of course are photographs that have been taken during the day, and I was having to explain to people every time I sent them the images that of course they weren't quite accurate, because this did happen at about around 20 past 10 at night. So I was having to explain obviously these are daytime shots and it didn't look exactly like that. So now that I've made these, now I've taken these photos at night and I've made these much more accurate Photoshop reconstructions, I'm also just going to quickly run through a couple of other images I've made and some of the newspaper articles that came out in the weeks following the event. So this first image is one I made in Photoshop, and it basically shows, it gives you a better idea of the distances involved. So at the top right you can see where I was sat at the traffic lights when I first saw the orbs, and then I started to drive along until I was parallel with them, and you can see that they are set back from the road slightly. I think they were roughly hovering above some trees in a place called Chippenham Park, and then I carried on down to the slip road, which is another 250 metres beyond the area where the orbs were hovering. So as I've already shown in some of the previous video clips, that took about 15 seconds for me after driving directly past the orbs to pulling over. I think it took about 15 seconds, during which time I was concentrating on pulling over, so I wasn't able to look at the orbs for that period. This is exactly what the orbs look like. I've spent a lot of time trying to get this right, and this is what they looked like. They were very sharp. They had sharp edges, quite sharply defined edges, and they just looked like perfectly made glass balls with an intense light coming out of them that was amber in colour, and they were fizzing around the edge as if they were unstable, and of course the bottom one had this large spike sticking out of its right hand side, which was elongating in length. As it was coming out, it was kind of shaking and getting longer, and I really did not feel safe while I was driving past these, and I was quite happy to get a bit of distance between me and them before pulling over and getting out of the car. So it was convenient that the slip road allowed me to pull over safely without having to worry about any cars coming along and smashing into my back end. So this is the next image I made, and this just shows, it gives you a good idea of the size of the triangles, which you can now see better thanks to this next photo, or Photoshop recreation, which has been done using actual nighttime photos that I have just got. So you can see, you can get the idea that they were equilateral triangles at this point, and they were very low, only, like I said before, only about 5, maybe 7 meters above the street lights. So after looking at them for a couple of seconds, they were just hovering there, and then they started to move across the road very slowly. It was at walking pace. It was incredibly slowly, and as they got about halfway across, they momentarily became transparent, which I'll show you in the next photo, and they were also elongating in length as they crossed the road. They were kind of stretching out. The nose was travelling faster than the back end was travelling. And I've had people quite rightly ask me maybe that this was an illusion caused by them turning, and maybe they were always quite long, but they looked short. And no, they were actually, as they were crossing over, they were actually elongating in length. They weren't turning as they were going across the road. They just were going straight across the road and elongating in length as they went. So this shows them as they were kind of rippling like the ripples on a pond. And that rippling effect only lasted about just under a second. It was really bizarre. So the rippling happened, and then they went solid again. The whole time they were still elongating. So by the time they got to the other side of the road, as you can see now, they were now much longer, more pointy triangles. And this just gives you another way of looking at my estimation of the elongation. And you can see in the lower left corner, that is the petrol garage that I showed you earlier. So that gives you an idea of the sort of size I estimate them to be, because that is the excuse me, that is the roof that you can see circled there in red. This was the first pencil drawing I made of the triangles, which as you can tell is quite rudimentary. I found it I took several attempts to even get it this good, and I found it really difficult to draw triangles from an angle underneath and have the one that was further away look the same as the one that was close. So thankfully Photoshop has enabled me to do that much more accurately. This, within 10 days of this happening, within a week of this happening, I decided to ring up the Forest Review, which is one of the local newspapers, which has previously had UFO reports in it, and I had seen a couple of those UFO reports, so I thought this was a good place to contact regarding what had happened. And it did take me about a week to pluck up the courage to do that, because I was thinking, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And eventually I thought, yeah, I've got to get this on the record so that in future other people can, anyone who's interested or any UFO researchers can hopefully come across it. And luckily they have come across it. Timothy Good was one person who did come across it, and he spoke about it on a radio show, which I just happened to be listening to at the time, a couple of years later, and I got in touch with him, and he ended up featuring it in one of his books. So that was the first article. A week later, I was really pleasantly surprised to see in the next issue of the Forest Review that a couple of other people had written in saying that they had seen similar things. One of them was a woman who said she saw something in 1994, and it was two triangles crossing over the road about 8 miles up the A40, up the dual carriageway from Monmouth towards Ross-on-Wye, over a place called Weir End House. She'd been driving with her husband, and she saw these two triangles crossing low over the road in very much the same way that I described. And you may be able to read that if you've got high definition. You can pause it and read the article there. So she said that they had thousands of lights. It looked like they had thousands of tiny white lights on the underside. So that was really interesting to see that not only had she seen a similar thing not very far away, but that it happened in 1994. Kind of strange, but looks pretty much the same. She said they were. It was two of them travelling side by side, so really strange.
No, you see, I've seen that piece in the paper there, Whitchurch. Whitchurch is in Shropshire, which is also where the Cosford sighting is very close to as well. Interesting, eh?
But I'm not too sure what the orb lights have got to do with the triangles, though. I'm still a wee bit confused there.
Well, I think the orb lights are the lights that make up the triangle. Now, whether Finn actually seen a solid structure between the lights, let's look then. Yeah,
I didn't actually get anything there from the orbs to the triangles. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe the orbs disappeared and the triangles showed up. So I was just thinking whether it was portals with the two things coming out of them. or
Mhm.
whether it was like the bright lights turned into the triangle ships. Maybe the bright light, the triangle's actually hiding inside it, like, and they're coming closer and closer. So really, we need to interview him. Anyway,
We did not know what to do, but rang the police, who eventually directed us to a Ministry of Defence number. We talked to an officer for about half an hour, and he eventually said he was convinced that we were genuine. There were no other aircraft in the area at the time, he confirmed. So that's fascinating, and I was so relieved to see that other people were kind of, at least in part, backing me up. Because honestly, at the time that it happened, and at the time that I decided to send the report to the newspaper, I thought I was probably the only one that had seen these balls of light and then these triangles. So it was somewhat of a relief a week later to see this headline. In fact, I was really, really happy, because it says UFO spotter is not alone. And again, they featured my picture, but this time on the front page, whereas the first time it had been several pages in. So that was really satisfying to see that. And then yet another week later, so remember it happened on the 26th, the article with my report in was then published on October the 10th. On October the 17th we had this one, and then another week later, on October the 24th, another report. This one says, among the latest reports is one from Mrs. Patra Hearn, who said that she also
you
saw
can
the
read that
craft
one,
on the
yeah.
night of the first report, September the 26th. That's the night that I saw them. But earlier on in the evening, and near Wysham, and Wysham is just over the river from where I had the sighting. She said that she thought she could hear a deep, low droning as the craft passed over her. So that's really interesting. So that was October the 24th, and in the same edition of that newspaper, again on October the 24th, but in the letters to the editor section, there was this letter from a gentleman who said that he saw what I saw, and he wanted to get in touch with me, but because my original report had been done anonymously, although obviously the editor knew who I was, but I said, when they print it, can they not mention my name? So this gentleman says in his letter, as you can see here, that he said he wanted to get in contact with me, so if they could provide my details, he would like that. So I read this and I rang them up and I said I'd love to talk to him about it. So they gave me his number. I rang him up and we spoke for about 20 minutes about it. It turns out he's a really nice older gentleman called Ray, who lives about 3 streets away from me in Wysham, and he'd been stood in his garden and he saw them going low over his house. You can read it there. He says that the strangest part was that they were travelling so slowly they should have dropped out of the sky, which was one of the strangest things about what I noticed. They were travelling incredibly slowly. Certainly no jet or stealth bomber type thing that I've seen before. So yeah, and when I was talking to him, I remember asking him, what did the lights on the underside look like? And he said that they were all white. So that's interesting, because they were definitely a row of blue lights. It was one of the most distinctive things about them, a row of big blue lights on each triangle when I saw them. But when he saw them, they were all the lights were white. So that's interesting. But as they were crossing the road when I saw them, as they turned their back end to me and headed up, one of them headed up the dual carriageway and the other one eventually turned over the Wye Bridge heading towards Wysham where he saw them. As they turned their back end to me, all of the lights on them faded to white, which was another bizarre part of the sighting. I don't know why they would do that. So it's interesting that then when he saw them, all of the lights were white. So that was October the 24th. And October the 31st, another week later, yet another person had written in, or a couple of other people. And this one, she says, and this was again on Friday the 26th of September between 10 and 11 p.m, so same sort of time as my sighting. But this was a woman in Clearwell, and I'll show you where Clearwell is. It's just up the road from Monmouth. It's about 10 minutes drive away. And she said there was a big thing hanging over the house. You can read the rest of the article there. But the interesting part is that Ray, in his letter to the editor section, in that letter, he says that unlike when I saw them, when he saw them, they were facing towards Penalt and heading in that direction. And as you'll see in a minute, I've made a graphic to show what I'm talking about. Just beyond Penalt, if you go from Wysham and you go to Penalt and then you carry on in roughly a straight line, you'll end up in Clearwell. So really interesting to see that I saw one of them heading towards Wysham. He saw both of them in Wysham, and then a woman in Clearwell sees them. Of course, we don't know the exact time that he saw them or that she saw them, but she said it was between 10 and 11. I think Ray said actually it was earlier in the evening than my sighting, but so this shows Weir End House is up at the top. That was in the one of the earlier articles. A woman who said in 1994 she saw them passing over Weir End House. That's 8 miles from Monmouth. I saw them at 20 past 10 at night, and one of them headed up the motorway, but the other one headed over the bridge towards Wysham. Ray and Pat Traherne both said that they saw them in Wysham, and if you look over to the right there, follow the blue line, Penalt is just beyond Wysham. That's about 5 minutes drive from Monmouth, depending where you are in Monmouth, but between 5 and 10 minutes drive from Monmouth. So Ray said he saw them heading towards Penalt, and then Hope Talbot says she was in Clearwell and she saw them, but they were heading towards Newland. So I just thought I'd point that out for those who aren't familiar with Monmouth. And that's about it. I shall leave you with these 2 pictures that I've spent a lot of time on to make sure that they're as accurate as I can get them. And I just want to say thanks to anyone who's taken an interest in this. I hope this was informative. And thanks to my friends over the years who I've told about it, who have been very understanding and not ridiculed me over it. I have suffered a little bit of ridicule, but nothing bad. Just people saying, I had one girl who I picked up in a taxi who had obviously read the newspaper report, and it came up in conversation, and I said, yeah, that was me. And she said, oh, you're the guy who says he saw some aliens. And I said, no, I never said anything of the sort. So it's funny how people instantly link UFOs to aliens, and even though you haven't said anything about aliens, even, you mention UFOs and you're thought of as the guy who said he saw aliens. But that's the minority
men and all that.
of people who I've told about it have taken that kind of attitude. Most people are just fascinated about it, and several people who I've made friends with on Facebook have been really kind and understanding. And obviously now I know quite a few people who've had similar experiences.
So we'll probably leave it there, but
we can leave it there.
How it moves and stretches is kind of interesting, whether it's something to do with the cloaking technology. So still, I'm not too sure about the orb lights to the triangle connection there, whether it's portals or whether it's decloaking and the lights were part of the ship that he saw first, and then the rest of the ship appeared. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
So he needs to be. I've tried to get him on the show in previous years, even, but he's always been too busy. So I could ask him these questions.
I think Ben's, he's a little bit shy like that. I really don't know, but I find the guy 100% genuine.
Yeah,
a damn good friend. And
so maybe you can ask.
He's seen that. Well, I damn well believe it.
Oh yeah, but what you should ask him is about the orbs and the triangle connection there, whether it's portals or whether it's some lights on the craft that will as it's slowly decloaking.
Like he's gonna know. I think he's just telling you how he's seen it. That's the way it is.
He may have forgotten to put that detail in, though. So yeah, it'd be
Possibly,
good to
yeah.
ask him. I don't think Martin Willis has interviewed him.
I think he'd make an excellent guest for Martin's show. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Rojas did an interview, but it wasn't any better than the video that we just watched.
It certainly wasn't, no.
No, I don't think he asked him any tricky questions. He just listened to what he repeated here, basically. And then he said, go and watch the full thing. But yeah, they were talking about that he set up the Open Minds closed channel on Facebook, and he signed it over about a year ago, and it's gone downhill since. But he was the admin of it all. Because it's under their name, I guess. So we should be wrapping up. That's about 3.5 hours.
We should, yeah.
So here we got people jumping on now, of course. So here we got Val. You just missed it all.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play it back, Bell.
Yeah. I may have been looking at them head on before they turned. Yeah. Yeah,
certainly. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, he's described. I mean, you can look back at that video again, and he describes it in very good detail where he was, where he stopped the car, where he was looking, where the orbs came from, and when they suddenly became a triangle. It's all there. You have to, and he's got the maps out. He's got it ready, prepared, and he's made a damn good video there.
So what's different about these triangles?
It's only 30 minutes.
What's different about
and
these?
And he's included the other witnesses as well that's seen the same craft over different areas and which way it was heading. And it seems there could have been, from what he's saying, it could have been two. Or at least two.
Am I allowed to say something?
Oh my God, I thought it was my presentation today. Never mind, Paul. You carry on.
What's different about these triangles to the Belgian one, though, is not the 3 lights in the corner and a red one in the middle. But is that a red light that he has got here, though? So it's 4 lights, and it's 4 big lights at the rear end here, and little tiny ones on the corners. It's not the same ship, if you know what I mean. To what the Belgian.
Sure?
Well, the Belgian one, like they always said, it was like 3 lights in the corner. Well, this definitely these
ones. Well, I don't know, Paul, but we all drive around in different cars, don't we?
Yeah, but that's not the point.
Well, maybe it is.
You're missing the point I'm saying here. So we still don't know if these are Black Ops projects, because he said he didn't know they were aliens or not, or whether it was alien craft. And the thing here, he didn't say that it shined a beam of light down either. And it's a funny place to stop.
You never know.
It's a funny place to stop over a bridge.
Yeah, it's a funny place to stop for a black project as well, isn't it? What the hell are we doing flying over Monmouth?
Well,
what the hell are we doing flying over Belgium, all over Belgium?
Well,
what are they doing? Flying it all over Hudson Valley, a highly populated area close to New York.
Yeah, but
it's not a good place to hide a black project, is it? That's why I'm ruling out TR3B. I'm going flat out. It's alien.
Well, the thing is, the orb lights the triangle connection. Now, what could have happened is they thought they were cloaked, right? And something malfunctioned. And they got decloaked somehow. But why would 2 of them decloak is the question. Maybe they both had the same fault. That's the only possibility I could think of. So, yeah, why would they be in plain sight? Obviously, something went wrong, is my opinion there. And, of course, even if there are UFO or alien crafts, doesn't mean that they don't get technical problems as well.
Okay, Paul, I'll ask you a philosophical question now. If you had a cloaking device, yes? Would you bother hiding from an ant?
Well, that's my thing. To say
no, answer my question.
Well, you might
Would
be.
you bother hiding from an ant? It can't hurt you anyway.
I don't know. That's all like a theory question.
No, it's a philosophical question.
Yeah.
But
That's what I mean.
it's relevant as well. If your civilization may be a million years more advanced,
Yeah, but that's my point, though.
why would you bother hiding from them?
The
Why
reason
would
you
you
want to
bother
hide
turning your
from
lights
it,
off?
you know, if it's a black ops object that you got cloaking on, you want to hide from people so they don't see it. You know, which then would.
And then you could also ask, why don't they appear in daylight?
But you're proving the point that it can't be aliens, so it must be black ops craft. Because
No. I'm
why
proving
would
the
you
point
bother
that it
hiding?
can't be. It can't be black ops. It can't be. I don't think we have that technology. Once you have that kind of technology, I'm sorry, you're flat out. It's game, set, and match. You've got everything. You. The world is yours. There'd be no Cold War.
Unless no, but
you've won.
But you're making assumptions here, Robert.
No, I'm not. I'm just putting things out.
Okay, so let's say that they've got a certain element that they can only produce so much of quantity to drive these ships. Which
That's
means they might only have a couple of them. Maybe they've got a dozen now since the 1990s or whatever. So maybe that's why they can't use them as a secret weapon, but more of a, go into.
But yet they fly them over Wales and Belgium.
Yeah. Why would they do that though?
Exactly. I mean, come on, they've only got a limited amount of whatever. It sounds like Bob Lazar's, whatever it was, £650 of element 115.
Yeah, but
if it's free energy, Paul.
Yeah, but it might not be 1115, but it might be 1118. Regardless of what.
But that's already on the periodic table.
Yeah,
and it's unstable.
So what would they be using the triangle craft? Well, obviously surveillance, right? So a good thing if it was Black Ops. Also to go into space and set up some secret bases on other planets where scientists are studying it in secret. For military outposts, right now.
And at the same time, keep an eye on Finn in Wales.
The reason that they might be there is because they may have been coming from a place like Russia or China, North Korea. It's in the same area, right?
North Korea are still trying to find rockets that can deliver a warhead.
I don't know, you could just throw a lot of the sci-fi fantasy out of this one. Either way, you can't prove it either way.
I thought you weren't allowed to do that.
Anyway, I think we better start wrapping up now anyway.
Okay.
But I still say we can't really rule out like the Nimitz case. As I was saying, ongoing battle, whether it's some sort of country has maybe a couple of reverse technology. It might even be reverse technology, right? Which means they've only got a couple of these working, which is no good for war.
Okay, I'll just leave it with this, Paul. Yeah, you know, like the Hudson Valley, 1981. They started in 1981, so we're talking 40 years on now. Yeah, and we still have no visible clue to what this technology is. So what I'm saying flat out, this is my opinion now. I'm the believer and you're the skeptic, I know. But what I'm saying now, it's no way it's ours.
Unless they've only got a few of them, right? And they still may have only managed to duplicate the material that they needed to get gravity working. And maybe only have a handful of these machines. So how many was it sighted in Hudson Valley? 6? Maximum 6 craft?
Who knows, Paul?
Yeah, so you see what I mean, though. Counter arguments and stuff, and thinking outside the box.
That's all good. Yeah, that's all good.
Until we can actually someone gets a HD footage or 4K image of one of these triangles and they see inside a cabin bay and where you can actually see what's in there, and you see the classic alien grey, then we can pin it and say, well, there you go. It's definitely not us. But anyway, if people want to watch that full video, they can. We skipped some of it there, but a lot of it was him trying to explain it, repeating. So that was over this way, which is close to the Belgian one, of course. So he was in Wales here. And all that's close to, obviously, Germany, Ukraine and Russia, China, all over this way. Why would they be over UK? Well, obviously Americans got bases in UK where they might be had to get supplies.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
Or get more nuclear material to drive the engines or whatever, as possible, right? So that might be why they have.
Which was my point with the Cosford incident.
Yeah.
But why fly them over Belgium?
Or maybe it's aliens that have come here and they need the nuclear material to be able to fly back home, right? So they might be trying to scavenge some, but they realised the humans like it too. So they might be trying to steal it from nuclear bases or nuclear warheads.
Yeah, and they steal the cattle at the same time because they're tasty. My God, we're speculating now. But there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's cattle mutilations. That's a different topic altogether. But according to Chris O'Brien, he thinks it's
still related to ufology, isn't it?
No, but according to Chris O'Brien, he thinks the cattle mutilations are related to a secret, a covert government operation where they're monitoring maybe like a virus outbreak that maybe got out of a lab or something like that. And they're just
Okay, I'll ask one question with that. Why do they have to use this, all these secret ops to kidnap a few cattle?
Well, they don't
when they could just afford to buy them up.
Because maybe they don't want to sell the cattle.
Oh.
And of course, it would be a bit suspicious.
Look, it's a cow. It has a price on its head. Come on. Yeah. If a farmer sells a cow for, say $5,000 and the government says, okay, I'll pay you $10,000, there's your cow. No need for any sophisticated equipment. There's your cow. Do your testing. He ain't going to care. Farm ain't going to care. Farmers don't care about the cattle. They breed them only to kill them.
I think some of them might have been prize bulls.
So that black government project with cattle mutilations don't add up at all with me.
I don't know.
The predator thing doesn't work either. The satanic rights thing doesn't work either. Hey, I don't know. Maybe they are taking the odd one because we don't want to tell you why we're buying them up, because it would look suspicious if they were buying them up. And
exactly.
You know, it could be mad cow disease. BCST, was it? Mad cow disease?
Yeah, it could well be.
Could be something like that.
But you got to remember they're mucking around with all these viruses to kill off other enemies, right? Something may have got out the lab.
Yeah, and they're keeping tabs on it, yeah.
But the thing is,
do that in a clandestine manner. We have to agree, Paul.
Yeah, he said only 5 of the 300 cattle cases that he looked at were cut with a knife or a laser. It's on the Martin Willis show. He talks about it on the Martin Willis.
Yeah. But that guy, that was his version of the story. He even still gave a 10% chance it was aliens, you know.
Oh yeah, of course he did.
And he was absolutely convinced it was black budget. That was his conclusion.
But he didn't like Lyndon Moulton Howe much either, and he said that she read too much.
Go with him there, yeah.
She read too much into stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And she believed all the stories. But he said the blood wasn't missing from the cows, which is interesting, because
no. Yeah, that because if the cow's lying down,
Yeah.
and it's dropped. Most of the injury is going to be where the cow lands because it's been dropped from the height,
Yeah, and
and quite obviously have. So the bleeding would be from the bottom where the fractures were. So the blood would go into the ground, be soaked up by to the ground. So the cattle would, or the cow, or whatever animal it happened to be, would be, drained of blood. But most of that blood would just soak into the
well,
ground.
not according to what he said. He said that it turns into jelly and it's all there in the body, but it turns into jelly and it sets like a jelly on that side where the cow's been wricking waters, so it never leaks out. But he said the bone fractures were consistent with being dropped from a back of a ute. But again, you can go and listen to the interview on Matt and Willis' show.
There's one case where they actually found a gas mask near to one of these mutilations, and I don't think aliens would require gas masks to
Well,
do.
there you go. But
So,
there was
yeah.
the other theory was there was some sort of strange cult, which is a possibility.
It could have been Black Ops studying what someone else has obviously done.
Right. Well, it could be some strange cult, or maybe some radicals that have released a virus, maybe from another country. Who knows? To see how well.
The satanic cult thing out, because these places were just so way out for them to get there and get away without being noticed, And there's another thing as well. The predators quite often, during like times when it was snowing in these places, like especially towards the Canadian region there, predators would go so far towards the corpse, and then they'd back off, like they knew something was wrong,
Also, I heard some information about RNA, and that because human race generally eats a lot of beef, that the RNA from the beef itself, from the cattle, actually incorporates into our own DNA, which is quite an interesting idea that all the food you eat, the RNA from that eventually affects our own DNA. Maybe in a positive way, I don't know. Maybe the aliens need to somehow reverse the RNA from the beef cattle, and might be the reason why they abduct them is to obviously to do with DNA and extraction of the genes that they're after. But I still think there's a lot more information in DNA than we understand, and I think it's inside the actual atoms and the structure itself in form of dense energy, which has information there, and maybe like memories, stored memories even. So imagine if in the future they take, if you got a blood sample or some hair they find, and they can clone you, but it's like you've never been dead, and you have all your memories suddenly gained because it can take it back out the DNA atoms itself. Could be trillions of bits of information. Boggles the mind to think that deep on stuff like this.
It does. It's never ending, is it?
Paul works for the government. I was told I worked for Five Eyes, apparently. No, I just throwing out ideas out there. At the moment, we don't know all these different things going on are all related to aliens or not.
He's called as what did he call us? A pair of government shells or something like that, didn't he?
Who
was
did?
Funny.
Who did?
There was some guy on Open Minds on that group that called us
right, yeah.
paid government agents. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one day when I didn't need my antidepressants to click in. I tell you, it was hilarious. Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of topics that we can talk over, but like I said, you're more of the believer and I'm more of the skeptic on it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not closed off to the possibility of it being something weirder than.
I mean, now after seeing these cases that I put forward, you're not still 80% skeptic, and only 20% chance that UFOs are reality.
No, I'm still 50-50 with the triangles. Yeah, you're cutting out.
Hello?
No, you're cutting out for some reason. I'm still 50-50 with the triangles. Are you there?
Yeah, 50-50 is good.
So until more information comes forward or some real footage captured, especially daytime footage, we need daytime footage really. There's not much we can really do really, and even then a video by itself is not proof alone because people are hoaxing shit all the time, which is really annoying. I don't know. Perhaps they need to reinvent the video format so you know that it's been messed around with, for starters. That would help, I think. And hoaxing with models and stuff you could never rule out, but or LEDs and models and all that sort of stuff, lights in the sky. But at least if they could invent like some sort of rigorous check code inside the video itself, you know if it's been tampered with, that would be really handy. Even photographs now, you know, you can only do the checks on JPEGs. Other formats like PNGs and all that don't suffer the same sort of compression problem. So yes, not sure how we're going to find out unless the government comes clean. I think that's really it, really, or multiple governments like the Russians, Chinese, and
I think with triangles we can come to a fairly sensible decision here. We haven't got nothing like that. It's alien.
Okay, you can be on the
That's
alien.
my parting words. I'm done.
Okay, what's Dale's doing? No way, he's laughing. So we're just going to wrap up now anyway, guys, and I don't even know what I'm going to do on Sunday night for Americans, but probably figure out something. And of course, we got more cases to come. There was one that we found today we could probably do as well on Triangle. What was it now? What was it?
Oh, Stephenville.
Yeah, Stephenville one. Right, so...
Yeah, I could do that if you like.
Anyway, it's good for you to join us. I think we had a few people watching. We got about an average watch time of about 21 minutes, which is quite good. So we'll see how we go with this one and see if we get any strange copyright claims on it. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. And I'll just close off with the credits now. Thanks, Dale. And who else do we have? James, I think it was, and Val.
Yeah, thanks to everyone.
Yeah, it's good for dropping by, and hopefully we get more people joining us in future, and putting your own thoughts down the side there. So
yeah, and another thing, Paul, before you go, if any of you guys that are out there now want a case investigating and you think it's got some legitimacy, I'll have a look at it and we'll bring it up.
Yep. And don't forget to sub and also click on the little bell icon if you want to get notifications next time we're coming on. But ideally, if you're on Twitter, I always post there, and it's always a better alert system than YouTube because you can't trust YouTube. Anyway, I'm just going to switch over screens now and cue the end credits and let it process. So good night, everybody. Thanks. Please like and share. And it's playing on this PC speaker. I'll have to figure out that in the future. Turn it down. You have to fix it. Don't smoke, anybody. It doesn't do you any good.
It was nothing to do with smoking, is what Dal said.
Oh, come on.
Park at the bank of New Zealand trying rugby. Class act, mate. You only get that stuff from England.